Chapter 4391. Squeak, squeak. At this moment, the giant pangolin made a sound to Lin Ling, as though it was about to leave. Go on. When you return, help me tell them that I'm fine. Lin Ling walked forward and stroked the pangolin's head with a smile. Although he was not afraid of being hunted down by the three divine marshals, Lin Ling would eventually be tired if the chase continued. Therefore, it was not bad that the pangolin could help him find a quiet place to rest. Kunlun. Little Kunlun also swam out. Its vines shook at the giant pangolin as though it was thanking it. Squeak, squeak. The pangolin stuck out its tongue and licked little Kunlun. Then, it swam back into the cave because it still had to go back to feed its young. After the pangolin left, Lin Ling stroked little Kunlun and smiled. I didn't expect my kindness to be rewarded. I let it go because of your suggestion last time. Today, it's repaying your kindness. All right. It's time to rest. After that, Lin Ling found a quiet corner and sat down cross-legged to recover. However, as soon as he sat down, a soreness spread throughout his body. Then, intense pain came from his wounds. However, Lin Ling did not care about the soreness. Instead, he constantly sensed his entire body. He realized that after the previous battle, his physical strength had increased. Deities are indeed strong. The divine fetuses of those three have reached the 8th grade and above. In addition, they are mid-stage lower deities. It is indeed difficult to fight them. By now, Lin Ling had fought with many lower deities. Therefore, he was somewhat familiar with this realm. Generally speaking, deities were much more difficult to deal with than martial gods. Moreover, if there was a difference of one realm, it would be difficult to fight against someone of a higher realm. At the end of the day, it was because it was too difficult for deities to break through. Therefore, most deities increased their strength by constantly strengthening their divine power or increasing the talent of their divine fetuses. Where did those three come from? Did they come from the void of the 9 states? They are too strong. I'm afraid they are only slightly weaker than little Qilin. Thinking about the previous battle, Lin Ling was curious about the origins of those people. However, he was certain that those people were not from the Spirit Nation. After a long time, Lin Ling had fully recovered. After checking, he found that he had used up all of his magic arsenal, but he still had one thunder mud ball left. However, he was in his peak condition this time, and he could even use the scabbard and the 3rd stage of his talent fusion. Therefore, he went on his way again. After scanning the surrounding caves, Lin Ling sensed a familiar feeling from one of the caves. Immediately, he followed the cave. Drip. At this moment, in a cave, more than 10 figures were sitting there in a sorry state. All of them were panting heavily, and their bodies were covered with wounds of various sizes. We finally made it out. 50,000 soldiers, we killed 20,000 of them, but we still managed to escape in the end. Be content with what you have. Those are all early-stage low-god realm experts. In terms of cultivation, they are much higher than us. If it wasn't for Senior Radiant Golden Dragon attracting a large number of experts, we would have died long ago. Thank you, Senior Light Golden Dragon. These people looked at the ground and saw a dim golden dragon lying there. At this moment, it was also covered with wounds and its breathing was weak. It's okay. I was only saving myself. The golden dragon also let out a soft voice. Overall, we finally escaped. Damn it, it's all because of that Lin Ling. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have been so unlucky. The giant figure let out a sigh of relief, then gritted his teeth and said. Wait, we might not have escaped this time. Everyone seems to have forgotten about that thing. Suddenly, Luoshen said in a serious voice. Her words made everyone come to their senses, and then all of them trembled. This was because, after Luoshen's reminder, they now felt a faint feeling of being spied on. That feeling was from the dark goblins. That's right, the dark goblins had been following them, and there were quite a number of them. Everyone, be careful. The dark goblins are looking for an opportunity to kill us. Everyone, stand up. Even if you have to pretend to be strong. San Ling immediately shouted. However, just as he stood up, he immediately sat down on the ground powerlessly. Previously, when he was fighting the steel torrent, he had already exhausted all his strength. Now, even if he wanted to pretend to be strong, he couldn't do it. Looking at the others, they were all in the same situation. Because of their weakness, the dark goblins, who had been hiding in the dark, were also eyeing them covetously, looking for a fatal blow. Especially the golden dragon of light, he was the most anxious at this moment. This was because even breathing was difficult for him, let alone standing up. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. As if sensing that they couldn't miss this opportunity, the dark goblins in the dark of the cave finally became restless and shot towards the group. Bastards. Everyone's expression changed drastically. They wanted to resist, but it was obviously very difficult. I didn't expect that we'll die here. At this moment, everyone's mood was gloomy. The feeling of dying from a sneak attack made them feel very uncomfortable. They died with their eyes wide open. I've caught you. But at that moment, a calm voice suddenly sounded. Then, the entire cave was sealed by a mysterious force. Looking at the radiant golden dragon and the others, they saw that they were surrounded by radish-like shadows, unable to move at all. What's going on? These radish-like heads are the dark goblins. Why did they suddenly stop moving? And looking at their appearance, they seemed to be very panicked. Luoshen and the others were shocked. They felt as if they had just survived a disaster. At this moment, footsteps finally sounded. Then, a figure slowly walked out from the darkness in front of them. If it wasn't Lin Ling, who else could it be? I've finally caught them. Lin Ling, who walked out, smiled. With a flick of his finger, divine energy shot out and landed on each of the dark goblins, instantly killing them. Then, Lin Ling collected all the dark goblins. His depressed mood instantly became carefree. Because the dark goblins were comparable to the divine spring, now that he suddenly obtained so much, his mood naturally wouldn't be bad. Moreover, he didn't expect that he would be interrupted midway, but in the end, the dark goblins were still caught by him. It's you. Looking at the calm Lin Ling, everyone felt that it was unbelievable. This was because they never thought that Lin Ling would still be alive, and even appear in front of them so casually. This made them feel that Lin Ling being chased was just a game. You scourge, why aren't you dead yet? The golden dragon of light also looked at Lin Ling and then spat out a mouthful of blood, looking very depressed. Is this what a dragon should say? Or are all of you dragon clan ungrateful people like this? In any case, I saved you from the dark goblins. It's fine if you're not grateful, but you're cursing me to die? Chapter 4392. Because after encountering Lin Ling, they had been unlucky until now. Who did they provoke? Okay, I'm not going crazy with you. Goodbye. After Lin Ling put away the dark essence, he wanted to turn around and leave. However, at this moment, a demonic wind blew in his face. Then, a few demons that looked like humans and monsters appeared in the cave. They were strange because they had human limbs and bodies, but their bodies were covered with colorful hair. Their legs were also in the shape of phoenix claws. Their faces were ugly, and they had a bird's beak. Moreover, their bodies stank. That stench carried the smell of human blood. Sure enough, there's someone here. I sensed a human presence before. After they rushed out, they immediately spat out human words and stared at Luo Shen and the others with excitement in their eyes. What is this? Dragon? Huh, I didn't expect our luck to be so good. If we give this dragon to the king will definitely reward us heavily. That seems to be a human woman. TSK, I heard that women are the most delicious. They kept staring at Luo Shen and the others, causing their faces to turn ugly. If they weren't injured, they would have killed as many as they could. Humans, obediently hand over your lives and we'll give you a quick death. After the demons discussed, they looked at Luo Shen and the others with a smile. They could see that Luo Shen and the others were seriously injured. Who are you? Luo Shen and the others knew that they needed time to recover, so they were stalling for time. 72 Caves, Peacock Cave King's people. Yes. Speaking of their origin, the demons puffed out their chests and said, "We are the demon kings of the 72 caves under the Ox Demon clan. It's your fortune to die in our hands." Yes. Ox Demon clan? Hearing this, Luo Shen and the others' faces changed slightly. They had naturally heard of the Ox Demon clan. It was said that they were the most terrifying existence in G-Air Ox Cave. Okay, you finished your nonsense. I know you want to stall for time. Unfortunately, although we are demons, we are not idiots. Give me your lives. Yes. Those few demon men sneered and continued to speak. Their footsteps had already begun to move forward. Wait, if you want to take us away, at least wait until we recover a little. Right now, even walking is a problem for us. Seeing that the other party had noticed their intentions, Xiao Er hurriedly said. Don't worry, you don't have to leave, because you are all going to become corpses. Except for the dragon lying down, the life and death of the others don't matter. However, one of the fiendish demons laughed and strode forward. Seeing this, the faces of God Luo and the others changed greatly. Then, they looked at Lin Ling and shouted, "Lin Ling, help us." Why should I help you? Lin Ling looked at them strangely and said calmly. This. No one could refute that because Lin Ling indeed had a reason not to help them. Also, all of you seem to be heavily injured, but all of you have hidden trump cards, right? That's why I'm guessing that these fiendish demons won't kill you so easily. Lin Ling said again. What? They still had a killer move. Lin Ling's words undoubtedly shocked the fiendish demons and made God Luo and the others explode with anger. Because that killer move, which they had originally wanted to use for a sneak attack, had been exposed by Lin Ling. And a killer move that had been exposed was no longer a killer move. Moreover, they were indeed heavily injured and could only rely on that killer move. Wait, we are the people of the four gods. If you dare to kill us, be careful of the gods' revenge. We are from the dragon race. Do you dare to provoke the dragon race? Be careful of the dragon race's anger. God Luo and the others immediately said, wanting to intimidate these little demons with their background. This is G-Air Ox Cave, not your realm of the gods. However, the fiendish demons did not give him any face. They quietly transformed into colorful peacocks. Although they looked beautiful, there was always a bloody stench on their bodies. Therefore, they gave off a very disgusting feeling. Realm of the gods? Looks like these little demons still don't know that the realm of the gods has been destroyed. Lin Ling looked at them indifferently. Then, his gaze landed on the feathers of those peacocks and his eyes instantly lit up. Those feathers seemed to be pretty good treasures. Bang! Just as the fiendish demons were about to attack, suddenly, golden flames appeared on their bodies and burned them continuously. Then, they began to assimilate. And these were the flame of the human king. As Lin Ling was not familiar with G-Air Ox Cave and felt that this place was very dangerous, he wanted to use these little demons to investigate the cave. However, this time, the flame of the human monarch, who would do anything for no gain, had failed. Because those little demons kept moaning, but they were not assimilated. Lin Ling sensed a strong feedback from them, refusing to be assimilated. How strange. According to the assessment of strength, they are only at the peak of the martial god realm and do not have divine energy. But because of their innate advantage, they have a lot of divine energy in their bodies. But this kind of strength is not enough to resist my human king's flame. Unless their bodies are very powerful, could it be? Suddenly, Lin Ling's eyes lit up and guessed the origin of these little demons. They should be transformed from a feather, and the owner of the feather was still alive. Therefore, this caused them to be unable to assimilate. As for the owner, it must be one of the 72 cave masters. Die. Thinking up to here, Lin Ling did not hold back anymore and controlled the human king's flame to obliterate these little demons. The few little demons let out painful cries and were burned clean in the end, leaving behind a few arm-thick feathers. These feathers were very exquisite and emitted the light of treasures. Pretty good treasure. If used to forge, it can forge a powerful divine artifact. And if used to refine, this can also raise my cultivation realm. Lin Ling beckoned with his right hand. Those feathers landed in his hand and he could not help nodding in satisfaction. Now, he obtained the black goblin and the demon feather. The harvest could be said to be not small. Lin Ling, why you actually killed them. Seeing Lin Ling kill the little demons so easily, Luoshen and the others were unhappy. Because they all knew that those little demons had the powerful 72 cave masters behind them. If the cave master came, with their current state, they would definitely not be able to resist. I am saving you. It's fine if you don't thank me, but you blame me? Seeing the angry faces of Luoshen and the others, Lin Ling immediately sneered, bullshit. You already know that we all have trump cards on us. These little demons can't kill us at all. I think you're going for those feathers. The giant shadow's face was distorted with anger. Chapter 4393. Hearing this, Lin Ling shook his head and said coldly, first, if you continue to talk nonsense, I can kill you all without the cave master coming. Don't forget, you all have a great enmity with me. It's just that I promised Lei Gong that I wouldn't bicker with you. Otherwise, with my temperament, you wouldn't have survived until now. Here. The last sentence floated out with boiling killing intent, scaring Xiao, and the rest. They didn't dare to look at Lin Ling again. Even Luoshen, who once dared to fight with the Qilin, was pale and didn't dare to say a word. Indeed, with Lin Ling's current strength and the enmity between them, if Lin Ling killed them, they wouldn't be able to resist. Second, there's no need to lure the cave master because he's already here. At this time, Lin Ling said again. Everyone's face turned serious. After the bright golden dragon recovered, it quietly transformed into a human and looked around with deep eyes. You're the one who killed my son. A colorful light lingered in the cave and quietly turned into a tall and sturdy figure. Looking carefully, it was an old man. He wore a colorful feather cloak and his long hair was green. His facial features were somewhat terrifying. He had the eyes and nose of a lion, but his mouth was like a bird's beak. A terrifying aura emanated from his body, forming a multicolored light that illuminated the entire cave. Under the cover of these lights, except for the bright golden dragon, everyone felt a suffocating pressure. Very strong. Was this the 72 cave master? That's right, it's me. Lin Ling looked at him calmly. You have guts. There aren't many young humans who can remain calm in front of me. You're the third. The old man looked at Lin Ling deeply and said. I thought I was the first, but the third doesn't matter. Lin Ling nodded, not bad, 72 cave masters. Their strength is actually at the mid-stage low god realm, and their demon embryos are extremely powerful. Most likely, they have reached the 10th grade. Most importantly, there are 72 experts like you in the entire Ox Cave. The might of the Ox Cave is beyond your imagination. We are merely monster kings. However, I am surprised by your calmness. You seem to be an early-stage low god. I wonder, why are you so confident? The old man nodded and looked at the radiant golden dragon. With this dragon? Even though he's very strong, he's heavily injured now. Moreover, there's a force sealed within his body. So, it's obviously unrealistic to ask him to help you. I don't need that trash's help. Let's fight. I'm also very interested in you Ling behind you. Lin Ling placed his right hand behind his back. With a light flick, the Tyrant Song sword appeared in his hand. On the huge sword, a blood-red glow flowed. With this sword, I can be sure that you're quite famous among the humans. Very well, let's fight. I'll let you know the might of the Ear Ox Cave. The old man's body trembled. Suddenly, countless feathers bloomed behind him, like a peacock spreading its tail. Divine scripture. With a low shout, those feathers immediately shot out. They were multicolored and extremely resplendent. These feathers moved with a rhythm, sealing the entire cave. Then, colorful rays of light burst out. My eyes! Luoshen and the rest screamed. They realized that their eyes had been stimulated. They couldn't see anything, only colorful rays of light. Hee, you humans dare to enter the 72 caves. You'll all die for me. They couldn't see anything. They could only hear the cold voice drifting into their ears. At this moment, everyone was irritated. It was as though those rays of light not only affected their vision, but also their mood. Lin Ling, it's Lin Ling again. If he didn't kill those little demons, how could the cave master arrive so quickly? Why am I so unlucky every time I meet him? What do you mean by meet? He's the one who comes to us every time. In their irritation, thinking of the unexpected calamity during this period, their mood became even worse. Whoosh! At this moment, among the colorful rays of light, a feather shot forward. It was mixed with the power of 7,000 divinity. Bang! However, in the light, a figure flashed quickly and easily dodged it. I didn't expect you to be unaffected. Seeing that person easily dodge it, the old man let out a cold laugh. Your rays of light aren't actually stimulating the eyes. They're stimulating the soul. As long as your soul isn't strong, it's useless no matter how you close your eyes. In the light, Lin Ling's voice drifted over. Your perception is really impressive. But so what if you know? I, the Peacock Cave Master, am not just powerful. Die. The old man waved his hands and a large number of feathers shot toward Lin Ling. Their speed had reached 200,000 world speed. Most importantly, there were so many of them that it was impossible to guard against them. You can't kill me. At this moment, the gray-robed Lin Ling finally appeared. He released 250,000 world speed and moved continuously. With a strange footwork, he dodged a large number of feathers. Moreover, with a wave of the sword in his hand, the feathers that were close to him were sent flying. How is this possible? Lin Ling's sudden increase in strength undoubtedly shocked Cave Master Peacock greatly. After all, Lin Ling was merely an early-stage low god. No matter how strong he was, there was a limit to his strength. But who could have imagined that this mysterious young man could actually erupt with such strength? You're a demon too. Moreover, Lin Ling was wearing a gray robe and the divine energy on his body was very strange. He couldn't figure it out. However, he was one of the 72 cave masters and the king of demons left behind from the era of gods. His strength was also heaven-defying. As the feathers he controlled danced in the air, the power of divinity increased crazily and reached 10,000 units. 10,000 units of the power of divinity. This was a terrifying amount of strength. At present, in the void of the 9 prefectures, other than some unknown characters, Lin Ling knew of gods, other than the 4 great gods, no one else had 10,000 units of the power of divinity. PFFF. PFFF. Under the constant impact of those feathers, Lin Ling's efforts were strenuous and unrewarding. His body was almost out of control from the impact. Let me tell you, my feathers are getting stronger the more I fight. The power of divinity will continue to increase. The Peacock Cave Master sneered. This was his heaven-defying innate demon body. Your feathers are indeed powerful. But as long as you find the right way, the weakness is actually quite big. At this moment, an ethereal voice floated out from Lin Ling's mouth. Then, he activated the step of wisdom and locked onto one of the feathers, sealing it. And after that feather was sealed, all the other feathers seemed to lose control and fall from the sky. That previously insufferably arrogant power of divinity had now dimmed. Chapter 43-94. It was because his feathers were indeed powerful, able to continuously increase his divine power. However, its weakness was also fatal. One of the feathers was the most crucial. If it suffered a heavy blow, the other feathers would lose their source of power. However, normal people couldn't discover this secret at all. That was why he relied on this move to make his own. He dominated the 72 caves. Don't ask me how I know. You only need to know that if this secret of yours is leaked, at least this killer move of yours will have no effect. Lin Ling's gray robe fluttered in the wind. After sealing the feather, he swung his blood-red greatsword fiercely. Rumble. Terrifying murderous aura turned into a sea of blood, destroying everything. Boom. Then, with a loud boom, the colorful light exploded. The dazzling feeling from before disappeared without a trace. The golden dragon and the others also recovered. However, when they looked at the old man in the colorful feather cape, he spat out a mouthful of blood and stared fiercely at Lin Ling. In front of the old man, the rolling sea of blood spread and completely drowned the old man. In the end, he could not be more dead. Lin Ling killed the 72 cave masters. Seeing this, everyone was in disbelief. Although they did not know what the 72 cave masters were, they could guess how powerful these overlords were. It was obviously impossible for an outsider to kill these overlords. However, Lin Ling succeeded. He killed an early-stage low god. As expected of Lei Gong. Sanling and Qing Imo secretly admired him. He didn't die. He only lost a feather. However, in everyone's eyes, Lin Ling's face was still calm. Then, he picked up the feather on the ground and revealed a satisfied smile. You are so powerful. I wonder who you are. Almost at the same time, the old man's deep voice came from the cave. The Peacock Cave Master was indeed not dead. They called me Lei Gong. Lin Ling raised his head and said indifferently. Lei Gong. I will remember this. The old man's voice drifted further and further until it finally disappeared. What's going on? I clearly saw him die. Luoshan and the others exclaimed when they could no longer sense the old man's aura. The previous one should have been a feather of the Peacock Cave Lord, and that feather was cut off by Lin Ling. That's all there is to it. The Peacock Cave Lord isn't actually dead. That's my guess. At this time, the radiant golden dragon said indifferently as he looked at Lin Ling, what you said is almost the same. However, the only difference is that I don't think he has more than 10 of those feathers, and I only got one. Lin Ling said as he strode away after finishing his words. Now that he had unleashed all of his trump cards, he needed some time to recover. Otherwise, if he were to encounter the Peacock Cave Lord again, he would be completely defenseless. Go. After watching Lin Ling leave, the light golden dragon and the others pondered for a moment and decided to follow him. This was because they realized that this seemed to be the cave of demons. With their strength, even if they had recovered, they were clearly no match for these cave masters. Therefore, following Lin Ling would definitely be safer. Lin Ling also sensed the people following behind him. He sneered and ignored them. Then, he found a quiet cave and sat down cross-legged to recover. Looking at him, he seemed to be unscrupulous. However, the radiant golden dragon and the others did not dare to think too much. This was because they had personally witnessed Lin Ling battling the Steel Torrent, the 3 divine marshals, and the 72 cave masters. Therefore, in their hearts, Lin Ling seemed to have no limits. Even now, they were not sure if Lin Ling had unleashed his full strength. Therefore, even if they were asked to sneak up on Lin Ling, they would not dare. This time, I have gained a lot. This cave master feather and those few smaller feathers are all good treasures. If I can refine them, my early stage lower deity realm will be stabilized. Lin Ling rubbed the mysterious feather with his finger and then sealed it in his spatial finger to prevent the Peacock Cave Master from using the feather to follow him. And now, although Lin Ling was an early-stage lower deity, his realm was not stable. Once it stabilized, Lin Ling could cultivate all the martial arts and divine abilities again, greatly increasing his divine energy. Currently, his Bodhi testimony divine art, Luai's true form, and human sovereign's flame had not been cultivated to the limit. The same went for the twin dragon innate skill, wraith jellyfish, and chaotic body. They could all increase his divine energy to a certain extent. Time passed just like that. Lin Ling was not in a hurry to refine the treasures. Instead, he was constantly recovering. After his soul energy had recovered, he stood up calmly and looked into the distance, deep in thought. Lin Ling, I reckon that the immortal spirit hegemony is chasing after you outside. And in the cave, the Peacock Cave Master is also chasing after you. You have to be more careful from now on. At this moment, Luotian stood up and said calmly. They are not chasing after me, they are chasing after us. Lin Ling glanced at her and corrected her. Damn it. Luotian cursed in her heart, but she nodded helplessly. You are right, they are chasing after us. So, what are your plans now? You want me to bring you out of this cave, right? Lin Ling did not answer, but asked back. However, he did not wait for Luotian and the rest to reply and said, coincidentally, I am also going back. You can follow me, but once you leave the cave, immediately get lost from my side. Okay. Luotian and the rest did not care about Lin Ling's rudeness and nodded. Lin Ling sensed the direction and then chose a cave to move forward. This cave was obviously not as smelly as before. It seemed that there were not many demons. Not long after they left, a large number of demons arrived. Then, their noses twitched and they cursed angrily, King, they have escaped. Damn it, that brat took my life feather and now he wants to escape. Find them, we must find them. An angry voice rang out in the cave. It was the Peacock Cave Master. As for outside the cave, in the distant sky, the 200,000-strong army was also searching everywhere. However, they attracted the attention of the 72 cave masters. An intense battle broke out between them and two of the cave masters. Of the 200,000-strong army, 70,000 to 80,000 were killed. Bastard. On the divine chariot, the three divine marshals ground their teeth. Because they had used 500,000 soldiers to kill the young man, more than half of them were killed or injured. However, not only did they not kill the young man, but he had also disappeared without a trace. While the two forces were looking for Lin Ling led Luotian and the rest through the cave. Along the way, they were safe and sound. Lin Ling's soul power quietly spread out to investigate the cave. However, he discovered that there were many powerful existences in this vast and boundless cave. Moreover, the cave extended in all directions, as if it led to the nest of the demons. Chapter 4396. However, the radiant golden dragon's face instantly turned ugly. No matter how strong I am, I can't compare to you. You're just acting tough. Although Lin Ling was praising him, Lin Ling was stronger than him. Therefore, he couldn't feel happy about it. I'm not acting tough. I'm just telling the truth. Lin Ling shook his head. The radiant golden dragon looked at Lin Ling and realized that the latter was neither arrogant nor impatient. Indeed, he didn't seem to be trying to suppress him. However, the more he thought about it, the more depressed he felt. Acting tough was the most fatal. Right, you said that he's related to the Ox Demon clan? At this time, Luotian asked curiously. When she saw Lin Ling nodding, she frowned and said, no wonder he's so strong. That's because the Ox Demon clan has the bloodline of the divine world. This clan is born as a monster. Once they're born, they're all divine embryos. Divine embryos of the superior gods. Seems like you're quite familiar with the Ox Demon clan. You must have been told by the Titanic Crescent God. Lin Ling looked at Luotian and smiled. Then, he thought about the group of people who were chasing him and asked, "What's the immortal spirit hegemony nation? Is it a divine country left behind by the divine world?" "No, they're a divine country on the other side of the Kaiyuan River." However, it said that they were left behind during the era of the gods. "Our Dragon Valley has been in contact with the immortal spirit hegemony nation many times. We know that they're very strong and have countless experts." The radiant golden dragon immediately explained upon hearing that. I thought they were from the divine world. So they're from the void of the 9 continents. What kind of country is this? They're courting death. Lin Ling immediately snorted. If he had the chance, he would bring Grandpa Treasure God and the others to settle the score. This way. After exchanging a few words, Lin Ling sensed a fishy stench coming from the surrounding caves. Therefore, he immediately chose another path. "It's the Peacock Cave Lord chasing after us." Seeing that Lin Ling had increased his speed, the radiant golden dragon and the others did not dare to stay any longer. They caught up to Lin Ling and asked anxiously. "I think so. However, this Peacock Cave Lord is also very powerful. At this point in time, it's not suitable for us to fight him head-on. After all, this is the cave. No one can guarantee that the other cave lords won't come." Lin Ling nodded and increased his speed again, leaping through the cave. After walking for a full hour, a large number of demons arrived, but they still could not find Lin Ling and the others. They were so angry that they gritted their teeth. What rich spiritual energy! Over here. As for Lin Ling, he was originally slowing down, but he suddenly sensed something, so he sped up again. After a long time, wisps of ancient spiritual energy assaulted their faces. The spiritual energy was so dense that even the radiant golden dragon and the others sensed it. At this moment, they all looked at Lin Ling, but Lin Ling did not say a word. He increased his speed and carefully moved forward. A huge cave within a cave quietly appeared in front of them. The sound of dripping water could be heard from within. On the ceiling of the cave, which was dozens of meters high, a large number of stalactites hung there, dripping spiritual liquid. Looking down, dense spring water spread out on the ground. It was so clear that one could see the bottom, and it emitted streams of dense spiritual energy. Holy spring. There were no less than 100 holy springs. At this moment, Lin Ling and the others narrowed their eyes and subconsciously licked their lips. Currently, holy springs were the best cultivation resources for the gods. They were born in the void after thousands of years. In the void of the 9 continents, except for Miao Shen's true inheritance, it was rare to see such a rare natural product. This also caused the cultivation of the gods in the void of the 9 continents to be slow. But here, a single cave had actually produced over 100 divine springs. Look! Suddenly, Luotian pointed to the front. Within the holy springs, a large number of figures were hidden in the dense spiritual energy. They were also eyeing the holy springs covetously. And these people were very unfamiliar. Looking carefully, they did not look like the demons of the 72 cave masters. Han Xie. Lin Ling looked quietly for a moment. Suddenly, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He recognized one of them. Han Xie? That name sounds familiar. Right, could it be the trial taker? Yes. At the side, San Ling seemed to have thought of something, and her eyes narrowed. That's right, it's him. So if I'm not wrong, those people are from the Spirit Nation. Lin Ling nodded. His words made Luotian and the others' expressions change slightly. However, Lin Ling quickly smiled and said, "Don't worry, there aren't many experts on their side. Other than Han Xie, the next one is the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face. I'll deal with the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face. As for Han Xie, if the bright golden dragon attacks, it should be able to suppress him. The one with the transparent face is Han Xie. He doesn't look weak, but it's worth a try." The bright golden dragon nodded and looked at the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face that Lin Ling mentioned. It discovered that this person's strength was unfathomable. Although he was an early-stage lower deity, his aura was not much weaker than a mid-stage lower deity. The talent of the yin-yang face is probably not weak. Then, the bright golden dragon said in a low voice. Indeed, the feeling he gives me is stronger than the divine general of the immortal spirit nation. However, with the identity of the spirit nation, that person should be a divine spirit. Coupled with Han Xie, TSK, sending 2 divine spirits here, I'm afraid it's not easy. Lin Ling did not act rashly. He had a feeling that Han Xie had received some mission, so he was acting in secret. Wait a moment. Lin Ling secretly sent a voice transmission to the crowd. Then, he set up a spirit formation in the surroundings and concealed them. Just as the spirit formation was set up, a mysterious power spread out from the cave. It formed a world power that enveloped the entire cave. So close. Sensing that, Luo Shen and the others felt lucky. However, they were also afraid that Lin Ling's spirit formation would not be able to conceal them. Fortunately, that power did not seem to have sensed anything and disappeared. They are so cautious. I'm afraid that other than the divine spring, there are other treasures here. Xiao Er carefully stuck his head out, wanting to see more clearly. However, Lin Ling grabbed his head and pulled him back. Be careful, they are still investigating. At the same time, Lin Ling's voice floated out, giving everyone a fright. Generally speaking, after checking the surroundings and finding nothing strange, people would stop searching. Who would have thought that the people of the Spirit Kingdom would continue to search? If they had been careless and relaxed, they would have definitely been discovered. Everyone, relax and be enveloped by my power. Do not resist. Lin Ling's voice suddenly became anxious. Then, his soul power spread out and enveloped the crowd. Chapter 4397. Evil Ghost. Lin Ling's eyes flashed. On the island of Ling Kingdom, Han Xie had devoured the evil ghost. This meant that the current evil ghost was Han Xie, and Han Xie was also an evil ghost. Let's go. After an unknown period of time, the radiant golden dragon finally spoke in a low voice after seeing the evil spirits floating back one after another. Ling Kingdom had us search for some metal box. It's truly a hidden place. Is a mere metal box really that important? At this time, a woman's voice came from the cave. Lin Ling glanced around and immediately recognized that it was Long Ling from Spirit Light City. This mission isn't simple. The great god of Ling Kingdom personally ordered us to complete it. In addition, the great god of Ling Kingdom knows of the ancient times and can reverse the universe. He knows of the many treasures left behind in the god realm, but he sent us to search for the treasures in this place and others to search for them. From this, it can be seen that the metal box is truly important. Thus, we must obtain it. The hoarse voice belonged to the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face. Shift positions. Left 12 firmament supreme, right 36 grade yin, right 82 revolutions. That's the divine spring. Murmuring voices came from the cave, allowing Lin Ling's group to understand that there was a pattern to the arrangement of the divine springs. I'll go get the metal box. You guys stay here and take the divine springs with you. The hoarse voice turned into a streak of light that shot into one of the divine springs. Metal box. Lin Ling finally smiled. He had never imagined that the metal box that Taoist master of many treasures had requested would be found here. It was truly a case of searching high and low for something, only to find it without any effort. Strike. Next, Lin Ling no longer concealed himself and rushed out. In mid-air, a thunderous finger shot out from his hand and pierced through the chest of one of the women. She was Long Ling, whom he had met in Spirit Light City. Not good. That woman fell down and then anxiously shouted. Who's there? Han Xie's expression also changed. His body turned transparent as he looked in the direction that Lin Ling's group had come from. Dragon proud 9 heavens. At this moment, a domineering voice rang out behind Lin Ling. Light and golden light shot out explosively, transforming into an unstoppable dragon claw that clawed at Han Xie. Dragon race. Han Xie's eyes narrowed, and he immediately used his ultimate technique to clash with the radiant golden dragon. It's Lin Ling. The fallen dragon spirit also recognized Lin Ling, and its eyes were filled with malevolence. Die. However, Lin Ling showed no mercy. He stretched out his left hand and countless human king's flames engulfed the woman, burning her crazily. No, I'm Lord Yi's disciple. Please spare my life. The woman used to hate Lin Ling to death, but now that she was in a life and death situation, her hatred had weakened significantly. She used to hate Lin Ling because she felt that Lin Ling was similar to her. She would kill Lin Ling sooner or later. But now, she realized that the gap between her and Lin Ling was too big. She couldn't catch up to Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling didn't even look at her because Lingua had killed Lei Gong. He had always kept this grudge in his heart. Radiant Golden Dragon, Luoshan, stop him. We'll split the loot equally. After killing the woman, Lin Ling said to the crowd. All right. Luoshan and the others nodded. Although they hadn't completely buried the hatchet with Lin Ling, at least in front of Lingua, they were still xenophobic. Lin Ling, you've also come to the ear cauldron. Just as Lin Ling locked onto one of the divine springs, a complicated voice rang out, causing Lin Ling's gaze to shift. He was surprised because the person who spoke was Wang Shui. Back in Lei Gong's hall, Wang Shui and the city lord of Yi City tried to stop Lin Ling. In the end, Lin Ling defeated the city lord of Yi City and killed Wang Shui. At that time, Lin Ling had asked the city lord of Yi City if Wang Shui could be resurrected. The city lord of Yi City didn't answer him back then. But now, Lin Ling knew the answer. It seemed that this Lingua was indeed terrifying. He had the ability to resurrect experts. Senior Wang Shui, you lost to someone back then, causing you to leave Snow Wind Academy. Today, your opponent is also here. Go and defeat him yourself. Lin Ling ignored Wang Shui. His body moved and shot towards the holy spring. Stop that demon, Lin. Seeing this, Han Xie scolded. Every time he saw Lin Ling, nothing good would happen. As expected, this Lin Ling was indeed an old demon. You want to leave? Wang Shui shouted coldly and wanted to stop Lin Ling. But soon, a halberd appeared in front of him and blocked his path. An incomparably terrifying physical strength erupted. I remember you, Wang Shui, the one who cultivated the 8-9 demonic art. Come, let's see if you've become stronger after so many years. I'm the one who defeated you back then, Qing Mo, the one who cultivated the 8-9 mysterious art. The person who attacked was Qing Mo. His voice caused Wang Shui's expression to change drastically. He looked at his old enemy in disbelief. Wang Shui, coward. You didn't dare to deal with the humiliation you brought to Wind Rain Academy. Instead, you let Lin Ling wash away the humiliation. Do you still have any shame? After the 8-9 mysterious art appeared, Qing Mo's strength increased greatly. Wang Shui roared and used all his strength. Gulp. With everyone blocking him, Lin Ling successfully rushed into the divine spring. He was secretly relieved. If he hadn't promised Luoshan and the rest to follow him, he might not have had the chance to see the metal box. After all, if he was alone, Han Xie and the rest would definitely stop him. What rich spiritual qi! As he went down the divine spring, Lin Ling also felt the spiritual qi entering his body and stabilizing his cultivation. But soon, Lin Ling finally reached the bottom of the water. The area at the bottom of the water was not large, making Lin Ling feel as if he was at the bottom of a well. Looking ahead, a stone platform appeared there. A few ancient vines wrapped around a rusty iron box. It was very magical. In front of the stone platform, a middle-aged man carefully took out the iron box from the vines and fixed it. He was afraid that he would alarm something during the process. After a while, when the metal box was in his hand, the middle-aged man was visibly excited. Although the great god of Spirit Nation didn't tell me what was in the metal box, I volunteered to take on this task. It was a broken ancient book that I obtained during the investiture of the gods in the 9 states. It recorded that one of the strongest physical body cultivation techniques in the primordial age was hidden in a metal box. It was created by Pangu. The great god personally sealed it. If this is the legendary metal box, then I'll be able to obtain such a technique. Chapter 4398. With a burst of excitement, the middle-aged man stared at the stone tablet in his hand and suddenly frowned. As expected of a technique from the time of creation, the minimum requirement to practice it is the physical strength of 1,000,000 worlds. In today's world, there are very few people who have the power of 1,000,000 worlds. But it doesn't matter. After I go, I will cultivate my physical body and strive to reach the power of 1,000,000 worlds as soon as possible. You don't have the power of 1,000,000 worlds, but I do. Let me practice it. But at this moment, a cold shout suddenly came, and then a strong wind whistled, and a figure rushed toward the middle-aged man. This sudden change also made the middle-aged man's expression change, but he was still the Holy Spirit of the Spirit Kingdom. With a clap of his right hand, a sword flew out from behind him and slashed fiercely at the newcomer. Wind-seeking stance. A strong wind gathered, mixed with the terrifying power of the gods, and it was as if the sea was overturned. As soon as the sword was unleashed, it was fearless. After the sword was unleashed, the bottom of the holy spring was not affected at all. Instead, strong winds tore the void apart. The 3rd stage. However, a low and deep sound came from the bottom of the water. Soon after, a gray-robed man quickly leaped forward. He was not afraid of being torn apart by the wild wind. He approached the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face. With a grab of his hand, he suddenly grabbed one of the stone tablets. Oh no! The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes because he did not expect that the mysterious person who suddenly appeared was so strong that he dared to resist his wind-seeking stance. It should be known that there were very few gods in the early stage of the lower god realm who could resist his sword. It was also because this sword carried the charm of the great way of wind. What a strong defense, but you want to take my treasure? Dream on. However, the middle-aged man was also very strong. He shouted angrily, and the yin-yang faces suddenly bloomed with light. In the light, one of the divine thoughts and the other of the demonic thoughts rushed toward Lin Ling. This was a 10th-stage lower god embryo, and the limit was the level of a middle god. Come out. Sensing a terrible force coming toward him, Lin Ling shouted in a low voice, and the 7 divine embryos all bloomed at this moment. The 2 dragons roared, the chaos swallowed heaven and earth, the evil spirits stirred up life and death, the human king ruled the world, the thunder god calmed the wind and rain, and the Vajra guarded the center. The 7 divine embryos appeared at the same time and immediately resisted the great way of yin and yang. Lin Ling's left hand didn't stop. He grabbed another stone tablet without hesitation. That stone tablet recorded the information of the new world will host. Who are you? Seeing that his talent did not gain the upper hand. Of his 2 extremes and 3 questions, asking thunder style. As soon as this sword appeared, lightning erupted. The power of a god actually reached the 8,000 level. After all, this person was merely an early-stage low god, yet his strength was comparable to a mid-stage low god. This clearly showed how formidable he was. Seeing this, Lin Ling clasped his hands together, and lightning spat out from his hands. When the sword shot toward him, it quickly caught the terrifying sword. Almost at the same time, the small kunlun on his arm swam out and wrapped around one of the stone tablets. When it was about to wrap around the second stone tablet, a strange eye suddenly opened on the forehead of the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face. Countless small swords shot out from the eye, and these small swords looked like a single line. The speed of these small swords reached 300,000 world speed. 2 poles, 3 questions, lightning questioning. Obviously, he was paying more attention to Lin Ling, and did not dare to underestimate Lin Ling anymore. Thousands of swords as thick as fingers shot toward him, forcing the little Kunlun to give up on the other stone tablet. Seal. In this short exchange, Lin Ling also knew how strong this person was. Probably not even an early lower god could match him, and he was much stronger than those immortal spirit nation. This spirit nation was indeed full of experts. The stairs of wisdom came out in a mighty manner, causing all the swords that were shooting towards him to freeze in place. However, the divine energy of these swords was beyond imagination. Therefore, they were only slowed down, and could not be sealed by Lin Ling. This made Lin Ling shocked again. Because after coming to the Ear Ox Cave, the step of wisdom had helped Lin Ling escape many times. But today, it was the first time that the seal failed. But compared to Lin Ling, the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face was even more astonished. This was because his lightning querying style came from a secret realm in the divine world, and it took him 30,000 years to comprehend it. It was also his trump card, and it had always been used to slay gods. It could even easily kill mid-stage low gods. But facing an early lower god junior, he did not have the slightest advantage. I've heard that the Ji Air Ox Cave attracted countless gods and experts. I didn't believe it at first, but now I do. I'm afraid that this young man is even stronger than the sage progenitor. Only the young chief of the Ox Devil clan could stand up to him. But who is he? Several thoughts flashed through the middle-aged man's mind. Rumble. At this moment, a roar came from the stone platform behind him, as if something had been awakened. The vines that had wrapped around the iron box moved at this moment, as if they were dancing tentacles. Oh no, the mother of the 72 cave masters has woken up. Sensing this, the middle-aged man's expression changed instantly. He knew that he could not stay here for long. However, when he looked at Lin Ling again, Lin Ling had disappeared. Bastard! The middle-aged man roared, and with countless tiny electric swords, he rushed back the way he had come. Rumble. But at this moment, a fist came from above. Although the divine energy seemed to be only at the level of 6,000, the divine energy was terrifying, and it was mixed with unparalleled physical strength. At least 1,000,000 worlds of energy. The middle-aged man raised his head, and his eyes trembled. He was not shocked by the strength of the fist, but by the physical strength of someone who had exceeded 1,000,000 worlds of energy. Oh no, Pangu's strike. He instantly thought of the premise of practicing Pangu's strike, which was to have a physical strength of 1,000,000 worlds. It turned out that the gray-robed young man had already planned this. Rumble. The fist came down and destroyed a large number of rocks. However, the middle-aged man snorted coldly, and immediately, countless thin swords shot out and turned the hard rocks into dust. Then, he wanted to rush up and catch up with Lin Ling. However, at this moment, a tentacle-like vine shot out and wrapped around his leg. Damn it! This sudden change undoubtedly made the middle-aged man's heart skip a beat. He knew that the thing that bound him must be the awakened cave master demon mother. The gray-robed young man's fist was not an attack at all. The purpose was to tie him up and let him face the awakening of cave master demon mother. One had to know that there were 72 cave masters in this vast and boundless cavern. Some of them were extremely powerful and comparable to gods. Normally, these cave masters were in a deep slumber. Once they woke up, a calamity would definitely befall them. Chapter 4399. But now, not only did he not obtain anything, he had even eaten a mouthful of dust. This hatred was comparable to the hatred of killing one's father. Most importantly, he still did not know who that person was. Goryulu. On the other side, Lin Ling was rushing up the holy spring with an anxious expression because there were two experts below who were about to catch up. Especially the vine-like cave master, Lin Ling could feel that he was very, very strong. Of course, although it was dangerous, the rewards were not bad. He had obtained an ancient stone tablet. As for the other stone tablet, although Lin Ling did not obtain it, it was a rune that recorded the world will host. Lin Ling had already memorized it with his soul force. As long as he passed it to the giant ghost, he would know what to do next. Who was this world will host? Therefore, the remaining stone tablet was dispensable to Lin Ling. Boom! A moment later, Lin Ling rushed out of the holy spring. He looked around and realized that the battle outside the holy spring was also very intense. However, the spirit kingdom side could not withstand the attacks of the light golden dragon and was retreating. The remaining Xiao heir and the rest were frantically collecting the holy spring. Lin Ling. Seeing Lin Ling rush out, Xiao heir and the rest were overjoyed. Even the giant shadow that hated Lin Ling smiled. Although they had grudges with Lin Ling, they were still on Lin Ling's side in front of the spirit kingdom's great enemy. Moreover, their grudges with Lin Ling were not life and death grudges. Hurry up, don't take the rest of the holy spring. When Lin Ling saw that most of the holy spring had been collected, he immediately flew toward the radiant golden dragon. In mid-air, he threw a punch at it. Lin Ling, you too are bullying me. Among the spirit kingdom's experts present, Han Xia was undoubtedly the strongest. Seeing Lin Ling's sneak attack, he cursed angrily. However, Lin Ling sneered. He didn't need to give any face to Han Xia, so he didn't stop punching. Instead, he sped up. Right now, he was still in his gray robe state. That level of strength was naturally not something that Han Xia could block. Boom! Han Xia's heart violently beat. He also erupted with all his strength, wanting to block Lin Ling's punch. However, after the collision, a terrifying force impacted the entire cave, causing it to seem as if it was about to collapse. Then, Han Xia's right arm was blown to smithereens by the punch. You've become a god. After being injured, Han Xia kept retreating as he cried out in shock. During the battle on the island of Ling Nation, Lin Ling was not a deity at that time. Instead, he became a deity in the Dragon Palace after the battle. Therefore, Han Xia did not know about this at all. However, back then, Lin Ling had slaughtered everyone on the island of Ling Nation with the strength of a peak martial god. Now that he had become a deity, his strength was naturally beyond imagination. At that moment, Han Xia was filled with both hatred and fear. He hated that Lin Ling had become stronger and had always been above his head. He was afraid because after becoming stronger, Lin Ling had joined forces with the bright golden dragon. How could he resist? Where's Lordy? Where's Lordy? He thought of the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face and felt anxious. However, after Lin Ling heavily injured Han Xia, he pondered for a moment and ordered the bright golden dragon to retreat immediately. After all, although he wanted to kill Han Xia, this person was very powerful. He didn't know what divine ability he had that allowed him to resurrect. Therefore, he might not be able to kill him this time. If he wasted too much time and waited for the experts in the divine spring to come out, the consequences would be unimaginable. Running after snatching the treasure, this was the principle that Lin Ling had honed over the years. There are still 2 more divine springs. Don't we want them? Seeing that Lin Ling was about to leave, Luo Shen and the others were reluctant to part with him. No. Lin Ling took the lead and rushed into one of the caves. When the bright golden dragon and the others saw this, they immediately felt that something was wrong and quickly followed behind. Rumble. When they left, they also stirred up a mess at the entrance of the cave. After they left for the time it took 3 incense sticks to burn, the ground exploded open, and a figure in a sorry state charged out. He was covered in blood and was covered in injuries. Moreover, his long hair was disheveled, and Han Xia and the others were almost unable to recognize him. Naturally, he was the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face. Who was that person just now? Where did he run off to? After rushing out, the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face looked around and immediately knew that the gray-robed youth had an accomplice. As a result, Han Xia and the others didn't get any advantage. He went that way. The person just now was Lin Ling. Han Xia quickly said. Lin Ling? He's Lin Ling, one of the top 10 enemies of the Spirit Nation. The Lei Gong of the four great gods Lei Gong Hall. Hearing this, the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face was stunned and then became furious. No wonder he's so powerful. He has a strong background. Go after him. After speaking, he turned into a bolt of lightning and shot towards the cave that Lin Ling had rushed out of. His face was full of yin and yang and it was gloomy. Han Xia and the others were stunned and didn't want to chase after Lin Ling. This was because they felt that even if they caught up with him, Master Yi might not be able to kill Lin Ling in his current state. They also couldn't suppress the bright golden dragon and the others. Therefore, the outcome would still be miserable. Rumble. But at that moment, a gigantic tentacle rushed out from the divine spring where the middle-aged man had rushed out. The surface of the tentacle was covered in mucus, and it was constantly spewing out poisonous smoke. The entire cave was rapidly corroded by the poisonous smoke, turning it moist. Upon closer inspection, the cave had unknowingly become a monster's stomach. It was constantly squirming and it was very terrifying. What a powerful method. He has unknowingly set up a world. This must be the divine stairs. Hurry up and leave. That's the cave lord demon mother. She's very strong and we can't fight against her. In the distance, the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face's voice floated over. Han Xia and the others were sweating profusely and immediately chased after the middle-aged man. Moreover, they hated Lin Ling because they had found the treasure with great difficulty. However, in the end, they didn't get anything. Instead, they were in a situation where they were being chased. Share the holy spring. At this moment, in the cave, Lin Ling led the others and rushed forward quickly. Then, Lin Ling spoke. Lin Ling, how about 20 holy springs? We have a total of 110. Luo Shen immediately said. Although Lin Ling had taken more, they all knew that Lin Ling had suppressed the strongest middle-aged man with the yin-yang face. Without Lin Ling, they wouldn't even get a single hair. Okay. Lin Ling didn't argue and immediately took the 20 holy springs. This was because he had a feeling that it would be very chaotic later. At that time, if everyone was separated, it would be difficult for him, Lin Ling, to get the holy springs. Bang! 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 At this moment, the sound of heaven and earth shattering suddenly came from the front, causing the entire cave to shake. What happened? Did they catch up? Chapter 4400. What? Hearing Lin Ling's words, everyone could not believe their ears. Don't worry about that. Speed up and charge forward. Lin Ling did not know where these mad bulls came from, but he could feel that they were terrifying. Not only were they terrifying, but they were also unafraid of death. This was because Lin Ling's soul force could sense that these mad bulls had smashed through a large number of caves. It was as if in the eyes of these mad bulls, this was not a cave, but a vast plain. Of course, along the way, many demons were crushed to death. Even if they did not die, they were trampled to death. Boom! Not long after Lin Ling and the others ran, the cave wall on the left finally cracked. Then, the first mad bull came out. At a closer look, this bull was as huge as a small mountain. It was covered in iron armor and its four limbs were blood red in color. With a heavy stomp, it seemed to carry the power of 500,000 worlds. The bull's horns were like heavy swords. They could split mountains and seas, break through the void, as if they were tofu. Looking at the eyes under the bull's horns, they were red and constantly emitted smoke. Obviously, these bulls had gone mad and had lost their minds. They only wanted to trample all the obstacles in their way to death. It's that blue-haired man. Lin Ling made a guess after dodging the first mad bull. After all, the demons controlled by the 72 cave masters were different. Only the Ox Demon clan controlled demons that were similar to the Ox Demons. Boom! At this time, the cave wall in front of them cracked again. A mad bull came from the left and charged at Lin Ling. Die! At this time, Lin Ling did not care about hiding his strength. He finally unsheathed the tyrant song. Clenching his 5 fingers, Lin Ling slashed out fiercely. Boom! This sword also cut the mad bull into 2 halves. A large amount of blood spilled out and landed on the ground. It was actually continuously emitting water vapor. It was very mysterious. So fierce. Seeing this, Hero Luo and the rest gasped. Although they already knew that Lin Ling's strength was extraordinary, they were still shocked, and they saw with their own eyes that Lin Ling killed a cow as if he was cutting vegetables. Everyone, leave it to fate. It's best not to get close to me. Then, Lin Ling shouted to everyone. He felt that these mad bulls came for him, so it was more dangerous to get close to him. Rumble. At the same time, the rock wall on the left began to peel off in large chunks. A large number of mad bulls began to appear, charging out wildly. This also caused Lin Ling and Luo Shen to separate. The scene was extremely chaotic. Die! Lin Ling held the Tyrant Song sword in his hand as a sea of blood surged. His killing intent soared to the heavens as he continuously killed the mad bulls that approached him. At the same time, he increased his speed and charged forward. The mad devil bull's goal was indeed Lin Ling, so even more mad devil bulls chased after Lin Ling. Luo Shen and the others were only facing a small portion of them. At that moment, the cave was torn open by a pair of large hands. Then, a giant appeared and chased after Lin Ling. This giant had short hair all over its body. Its muscles were solid, but it had the head of a bull and no eyes. It was very terrifying. Although its speed was not as fast as those mad bulls, it was very obvious that its strength was much stronger. Rumble. Then, more and more minotaur giants rushed out of the cave and chased after Lin Ling as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. Behind them, the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face also arrived. However, when they saw the scene in the distance, none of them dared to chase after Lin Ling. They were so scared that their faces turned pale. However, the cave was already in chaos because behind them, a large number of slimy tentacles slithered over like snakes. It was Cave Lord Demon Matriarch. Run! Seeing this, whether it was the middle-aged man with the yin-yang face or the light golden dragon and the others, they all wanted to run in all directions. Of course, Han Xia and the others also wanted to chase after the light golden dragon and the others. However, there were too many mad bulls, making it difficult for them to get close. I realized that ever since we met Lin Ling, we were either running for our lives or on the road to escape. Luo Shen said helplessly as they ran. Her words made everyone nod in agreement. They had not been in the Ox cave for long. However, they had already experienced the pursuit of the immortal spirit nation and the pursuit of the Peacock Cave Lord. Now, there was the Spirit Nation, the Mad Bulls, and the Cave Lord Demon Matriarch. The entire Ox cave seemed to be in turmoil because of Lin Ling alone. The most speechless thing was that, as the person involved, Lin Ling seemed to be running for his life. However, in reality, he was the calmest. How lively! That was indeed the case. At this moment, Lin Ling realized that his speed was much faster than the mad devil bulls, so he wasn't too worried. He also realized that the third stage of the innate skill fusion could still be used for quite some time. This period of time was enough for him to rush out of the cave. Boom! After an unknown amount of time, Lin Ling successfully rushed out of the cave. He then took out the sound transmission talisman and checked it. Then, he immediately rushed towards the direction of the camp in the valley. He had just left when the cave he was in previously exploded. Countless mad demon bulls galloped in the sky and chased after Lin Ling in a grandiose manner. From afar, one could see sand and dust churning. It was an extremely shocking sight. Interesting. Is that blue-haired man jealous? Lin Ling quickly flew through the sky. When he realized that the mad bulls were not giving up, the corners of his mouth curled into a disdainful smile. Found him. Over there. However, at that moment, a murderous voice came from ahead. Looking over, a flood of steel was sweeping over. It was the army of the immortal spirit nation. They're still looking for me? It's been hard on them. Lin Ling was stunned as he stared at the flood of steel rushing over. However, he soon revealed a sinister smile. It was hard enough for the immortal spirit nation to chase after him. In order to reward them, he would give them a herd of mad bulls. Therefore, Lin Ling did not avoid them. Instead, he faced them head-on. In order to hide the mad bulls behind him, Lin Ling also activated the Human King's Flame and the Luai's Lightning, creating a colorful scene. Although Lin Ling knew that the flood of steel in front of him would discover the mad bulls sooner or later, they had suppressed their anger for so many days. Even if they did discover him, they would not take it to heart. I've finally found you. Die. At that moment, a majestic dragon tiger chariot appeared in front of the flood of steel. On the divine chariot, 3 divine commanders glared angrily at Lin Ling. Their eyes were filled with gloominess and anger as if they were about to swallow him whole. During the few days of searching for Lin Ling, they had already fought several times with the cave masters of the 72 caves. There were countless casualties. If they had not escaped quickly, they would have been completely wiped out. When they thought about how the army of 500,000 deities had suddenly become more than 100,000, they immediately felt their hearts ache. They did not know how to answer to the immortal spirit nation. Chapter 4401. However, just as they were getting closer and closer to Lin Ling, a pitch-black ball of mud suddenly shot towards them. It was Lin Ling's final ball of lightning mud. Boom! The mud ball exploded, forming a terrifying thunderstorm that swept out in all directions. However, this time, the 3 divine marshals were not injured because they had already suffered once. Now that they saw Lin Ling throw out the ball of lightning mud, they had already sensed it and activated their strongest defensive abilities, joining forces to block the thunderstorm. Let's see what other tricks you have. Come on, use them all. Is there only one left? Looks like it's your last trump card. How do you want to die? We'll satisfy you. Allowing the terrifying lightning to sweep over them, the 3 hid in the divine chariot and shouted crazily. Lin Ling was getting closer and closer to them. He sneered, and at the same time, the lightning and flames behind him began to retract, revealing the mad bulls that were billowing with dust. I've made you wait for so long. To show my respect, I'll give you a big gift. A soft voice drifted out from Lin Ling's mouth, causing the 3 divine marshals to be stunned. Their gazes finally landed on the raging herd of mad bulls behind them. For a moment, they were all stunned, their eyes trembling. The scene in front of them was simply too shocking. Not only were there mad bulls, but there was also a giant bull demon, which made them feel extremely terrified. Of course, some things were only shocking on the surface. If they really met force with force, they might not be so strong. The 3 divine marshals, who had been fighting for many years, knew this best. At some point, they even thought that this was Lin Ling's smokescreen to scare them. However, they still had more than 100,000 soldiers and 3 mid-stage lower gods. Would they be afraid? The answer was no. Very good mad bulls, they look very grand. I love eating beef the most. Inform the soldiers later that we'll have beef stew tonight. Braised beef, iron plate beef tendon, and hot and sour beef meatballs are my favorite. The 3 divine marshals spoke louder and louder, and in the end, they even laughed loudly. I've loved eating cow feasts since I was young. However, there are too few cows. It's not even enough for each of us to have a bite. Behind the three divine marshals, the rolling steel flood also let out thunderous cheers. Their momentum was earth-shattering as they leaped forward with murderous intent. However, Lin Ling's speed did not slow down. He rushed into the flood of steel, and his sword took a life. However, the remaining steel flood army already knew how difficult it was to deal with Lin Ling. So, when facing Lin Ling, they maintained a defensive posture, planning to trap and kill Lin Ling one step at a time. And with over 100,000 of them joining forces, their defense was naturally unquestionable. However, while they were fully focused on guarding against Lin Ling, they had missed the mad devilish bull that was charging towards them. Puff! The person on the outermost perimeter was struck by a red-eyed mad demon bull. Its sharp horns pierced through the man's chest, and even his spirit essence could not block the impact of the horns. That person looked at his bloody chest and lowered his head in disbelief. A cow feast? Just as he finished speaking, the mad demon bull swung its head, and his entire body was torn apart. What? Why is there such a powerful bull? This sudden change gave everyone a fright. Boom! However, at this time, another mad demon bull arrived. Its horns were thick and heavy, as if they were going to pierce through the sky. Scram! An expert attacked. A long spear shot out like a meteor toward the mad demon bull. He angrily said, "A cow feast should be a cow feast." Gotcha! However, the mad demon bull crashed into him, and the long spear broke. Even the power of a god could not block the bull's charge. Poochie! The bull crashed between the legs of the person who attacked with the spear, and the sound of an egg breaking quietly rang out. As for the expert whose legs were hit, his face was initially filled with arrogance, but it gradually turned red, and finally turned pale. My eggs! He let out a loud roar, but unfortunately, it was the last sentence he uttered in his life. This was because even more mad demon bulls were charging toward him from behind, and they trampled him into meat paste. Not good, these bulls have very powerful physical strength. This change finally caused the army to react. It was precisely because of their physical strength that they did not realize how terrifying the mad demon bulls were. After all, physical strength could not be compared to world energy and divine energy. If they did not attack, it would be very difficult to get a rough idea of their strength. Buzz! Behind the mad demon bulls, an ox-headed giant rushed over with large strides. It waved its fists, and with every punch, beautiful flowers bloomed in the sky, and a bloody mist gushed out. This ox-headed giant was even more terrifying than the mad demon bulls. Judging from its strength, it was probably comparable to a mid-stage lower god. Stop them! The army was alarmed, and they gathered into a human formation to resist the bull formation. Boom! Unfortunately, they could not stop the charge of the mad devil bulls. Countless deities were trampled to death. It was as if these mad devil bulls had lost their minds. They only had one goal in mind, and that was Lin Ling. Therefore, all the obstacles in their way were swept away. This beef is too fierce, isn't it? How am I supposed to eat it? Behind them, the three divine commanders stood dumbfounded on their divine chariots. Their expressions were as if their parents had died. This was because the situation had changed too quickly. In the blink of an eye, their army had been utterly defeated. They had either been trampled to death or rammed to death. Was this the all-bull feast they had imagined? Kill these mad bulls. Lei Gong, let's see what other tricks you have up your sleeve. Seeing that more and more people were dying, the eyes of the three divine commanders turned red. Their army of 500,000 had come to kill Lei Gong, but now, only 100,000 of them were left. They could not swallow this humiliation. Kill! The steel flood's eyes turned red as well. They unleashed all of their power, determined to fight to the death with the mad devil bulls. From their point of view, these mad bulls were definitely Lin Ling's handiwork. Since Lin Ling had already caused the deaths of so many of their people, they had to cut off one of Lin Ling's wings and kill these mad bulls. Time passed quietly. When they looked at Lin Ling again, he had already disappeared into the distance. Not only was he not pursued by the immortal spirits or the hegemony nation, even the mad demon bulls had been blocked. Thank you. Lin Ling smiled and said to the distant sky. Kill. 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 I'll fight you to the death. Boom. 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 In the distant sky, the battle was gradually coming to an end. However, upon closer inspection, the sky was filled with blood. Human flesh and cow limbs were scattered everywhere. It was a catastrophe. Die. The remaining Minotaur giants were falling one by one. This was because the three divine commanders had also made their move. After cutting off the heads of the Minotaur giants, they roared to the sky, venting the anger in their hearts. Come on, Lei Gong. What other tricks do you have? Use them all. Seeing the mad bulls getting weaker and weaker, the white-browed elder's face was covered in blood as he roared in excitement. Chapter 4402. Look, these bulls have already had their limbs cut off, yet they're still crawling. How pitiful. They stared at the mad Satan bulls that had yet to die and laughed complacently. They realized that these poor bulls were still crawling. Furthermore, they were crawling with great difficulty past the people and into the distance. Something's not right. These bulls don't seem to be hostile towards us. Suddenly, the scholarly divine marshal frowned. Let me try. Someone rushed over and stepped on the mad Satan bull that was crawling. He then realized that the mad Satan bull was completely ignoring him. It was as if it did not see him at all. Once he blocked its path, the mad Satan bull's eyes turned red and it looked as if it was going to fight to the death. Something's not right. It seems to be ignoring us. Yeah, could it be? The people exclaimed as they vaguely guessed what was going on. Could it be that the mad Satan bulls aren't targeting us, but Lei Gong? The white-browed elder's pupils constricted as he spoke in disbelief. Silence. The sky suddenly became suffocatingly silent. Everyone's jaws dropped and they almost gave themselves a tight slap. It means that if we don't stop these mad bulls, they can kill the Thunder God with just these mad bulls alone. That seems to be the case. This means that we're helping Lei Gong block the mad Satan bulls. This is so infuriating. After thoroughly thinking it through, the people could no longer care about their injuries and vomited blood in anger. The army of 500,000 was only left with 10 to 20,000 soldiers. However, Lei Gong was still alive. Most importantly, they had volunteered to help Lei Gong block the mad Satan bulls. Report this to the Lord. The scholarly divine marshal said through gritted teeth. Although it was humiliating, he also knew that the losses of the army were beyond imagination. And the reason for all of this was that they had underestimated their enemy. Trash. Not long after, a voice drifted into everyone's ears. The reprimand made everyone shut their mouths. They had lost all face. Of the 9 prefectures void 4 great gods, Your Majesty Lei Gong. Very good, very good. You took the initiative to provoke our immortal spirit hegemony nation. Pass down my order. The army will stop advancing and pursue Lei Gong with all their might. The majestic voice drifted out once again. My lord, I know where he went. A silver iron plate appeared in front of the white-browed elder. It was the fortune divine stone, and it had found out the whereabouts of Lin Ling. On the other side, Lin Ling flew all the way, and gradually, the tranquil valley appeared in front of him. Lord Lei Gong. It was Saint Guy. He smiled excitedly and spread the news of Lin Ling's return throughout the valley. After a short while, all the experts of the Thunder God Palace also returned. Brother Ling. Calm. Lin Ling looked at everyone and smiled. He glanced around and immediately realized that everyone's strength had improved greatly. Especially the people of the God Slayer Alliance, many of whom had stepped into the ranks of gods. Lin Ling was surprised. We collected treasures nearby and found many treasures for breaking through, so we all broke through smoothly. Yu Yu explained when she saw Lin Ling's surprised expression. Yu Yu, even you broke through. Our Lei Gong Hall's overall strength has reached a new level. Lin Ling nodded in satisfaction and led the group into the valley. As soon as they landed, he immediately sensed a voice from the pangolin. Lin Ling smiled and replied to the pangolin. Then, he took out a large amount of divine spring and black essence, which shocked everyone. Wow, Lin Ling, where did you get these treasures? Nanwu Fengyu exclaimed. Lin Ling's harvest alone was comparable to their Lei Gong Hall's harvest. That's the black essence. Young Qilin was also surprised. When they came to the divine realm, they also encountered this kind of black essence. They were very difficult to deal with, so he was surprised at how Lin Ling hunted this kind of black essence. Everyone, take the cultivation treasures you need. Lin Ling smiled and looked at everyone. Now that the Ear Ox Cave was full of experts, the stronger the Lei Gong Hall was, the better it was for Lin Ling and everyone else. Lord Lei Gong, this is not necessary. During this time, our Lei Gong Hall has been exploring the surrounding area and obtained many treasures. These treasures should be left for Lord Lei Gong's cultivation. An old man immediately smiled and looked at Lin Ling. Lin Ling glanced and found that the old man's strength had also increased. This made him nod. This place was indeed the divine realm. There were many more treasures here than in the void of the 9 continents. How about this? I will leave a portion of these treasures to set up a barrier formation. The rest will be used for cultivation. Lin Ling pondered. He had a feeling that after the immortal spirit hegemony nation suffered such a big loss, they would definitely come back. So, it was better to set up a powerful barrier formation to welcome them. Moreover, there were too many experts in the Ear Ox Cave. One more safe place to set up camp would be much safer. Then, Lin Ling gave the order for the crowd to continue searching for treasures in the vicinity. As for Lin Ling, he began to set up a grand spirit formation. In order to set up a powerful barrier formation, treasures were indispensable. Without rare treasures to provide the source of power, no barrier formation could last for long. Unfortunately, the universal Qingtian formation was left in Lei Gong Hall. Otherwise, Lin Ling would not have to go through so much trouble. This formation is for defense. After all, an offensive formation requires more treasures. Lin Ling closed his eyes slightly. His soul power shrouded the entire valley. Then, he sprinkled streams of divine spring water. Pangolin, help me. Then, Lin Ling transmitted his voice to the pangolin in the valley. As the pangolin was good at digging holes, if it helped set up the barrier formation, the speed would be doubled. Set up the mini Kunlun divine formation. Lin Ling pondered for a moment and finally made a decision. After he stepped into the 9th level martial god realm, the divine inheritance treasure had left behind a grand supreme Dao barrier formation. The mini Kunlun divine formation came from that grand supreme Dao. This formation was created by imitating the Kunlun divine mirror, one of the 12 divine artifacts of the primordial era. It could see the past and present and could travel through time. However, the mini Kunlun divine formation set up by Lin Ling was imitating the Kunlun divine mirror. Naturally, it did not have such power, but it was still not to be underestimated. Lin Ling speculated that even late-stage lower deities would not be able to break out of the formation if they were trapped in it. This was because the formation did not have any offensive power. Even its defensive power was not very strong. The only advantage it had was that it could teleport people to another place. That was all. Chapter 4403. Time passed quietly. Lin Ling's soul power was very strong. After 3 days, the minor Kunlun Heaven's secret array was finally completed. On the surface, there was no change in the surroundings of the valley. However, it gave people the feeling that there were many more light rays. It was as if there were many small mirrors hidden in the forest. Finally, it's done. Looking at the completed array, Lin Ling let out a sigh of relief. He thanked the pangolin and told it the chant to enter the array. Then, he entered into a state of cultivation. Now, he had used up all his divine stones. However, he still had a lot of black essence. Refine. Lin Ling first refined the black essence. It formed an ancient spiritual energy that lingered in his 7 dantians. This spiritual energy was clearly different from the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It had a mysterious energy similar to longevity. No wonder the immortal spirit hegemony nation called the black essence longevity spirit. This was because the longevity spirit seemed to be the symbol of the longevity of heaven and earth. So comfortable. When refining the black essence longevity spirit, Lin Ling felt very comfortable. It was as if he was bathing in the sun. However, after becoming a lower god, any god's cultivation progress would be very slow. Only by accumulating time could they make a big leap. Therefore, when Lin Ling refined all the black essence longevity spirit, his 7 dantians only made a little progress. It seemed that there was still a long way to go before he could stabilize the realm of lower god. Li. Even so, Lin Ling felt that his strength had increased. His divine energy was more vigorous and pure. His physical strength had increased by 500,000 worlds. Now, even if he did not fuse with his innate talent, he would have 1,000,000 worlds. If he fused with his 3rd innate talent, he would reach a terrifying 2,000,000 worlds. As for his speed, it had also increased by leaps and bounds. His basic speed was 200,000 worlds. If he fused with his 3rd innate talent, he would reach a terrifying 300,000 worlds. There are strong and weak low-level deities. For example, the Steel Torrent army of the Celestial Spirit Hegemony Nation, although they are all early-stage low-level deities, their strength can't withstand a single blow. That middle-aged man with the yin-yang face is also an early-stage low-level deity, but his strength is slightly stronger than mine. Lin Ling muttered to himself. He also knew that there were many factors that determined one's strength, such as the divine embryo, the power of divinity, treasures, and so on. But now, there were very few early-stage low gods who could pose a threat to Lin Ling. Next, let's comprehend the power of God. Then, Lin Ling began to comprehend the Luai's true body, the human king's flame, and the Bodhi testimony divine art. He was very clear that the so-called gods were actually also determined by accumulation. The more accumulation one had, the stronger one would be, and the more one would be able to come into contact with the great Tao of void. Time quietly passed, and Lin Ling's divine power also continued to increase. His basic divine power finally reached 3,000 strands, and if he used his innate talent to fuse them, he would be able to raise it to 7,000 strands of divine power. Adding the divine essence and physical strength of his 7 dantian, he had almost surpassed 10,000 strands of divine power. The power of the force of heaven. But this time, other than the Luai's true body that had activated the 5th stage, the human king's flame and the Bodhi testimony divine art did not increase much. But the 5th stage of the Luai's true body had increased Lin Ling's divine power by 1,000 strands, and his world speed by 100,000. So now, Lin Ling's 3rd stage innate talent had reached 400,000 world speed. It could be said that in terms of divine power, Lin Ling might not have the most amount of divine power, but in terms of speed, there were not many low gods who could catch up with him. Even mid-stage low gods were few and far between. This time, my strength has increased by more than 30%. If I were to encounter that middle-aged man again, would be able to put up a fight against him and not be at a disadvantage. After finishing his cultivation, Lin Ling felt refreshed. It was as though he could float away with the wind and enter the great Tao of void at any time. Pangu strike. Soon after, a stone tablet appeared in Lin Ling's hand. This was the stone tablet that he had snatched from the iron box. And upon closer inspection, the stone tablet had been forcibly torn into two halves. The original stone tablet looked more like a stone tablet, and on the modeled stone tablet, there were three big words, Pangu's strike. Looking at those three ancient words, Lin Ling's heart instantly surged. Those three big words were not neatly written, but they gave off a majestic feeling, as though those three words represented the great Tao of heaven and earth. One of the strongest cultivation techniques of the ancient era. Lin Ling licked his lips. He knew that he had obtained a treasure. If this cultivation technique were to spread to the void of the 9 prefectures, it would be enough to shake the heavens and earth, and cause all the gods and Buddhas to go crazy. Because the two words, Pangu's strike, represented everything. Next, Lin Ling looked at it carefully. Although the words recorded in the stone tablet were very complicated, these words seemed to be the ancestor of all words, so Lin Ling could barely understand them. But even though he could understand them, it was difficult to understand them. Because what was recorded in these words was the supreme divine ability of heaven and earth. Just like that, Lin Ling held the stone tablet in his hand and continued to comprehend. After 3,000 years of bitter cultivation in the kingdom of eternity, he had already touched the great Tao. In addition, his soul power was strong, so he had a better understanding of those ancient words. And this Pangu's strike only had 5 moves, which were heaven-splitting break, earth-shattering, soul-shocking, heaven and earth slash, and premier fight. The 5 moves seemed simple, but in fact, they were broad and profound and all-encompassing. What was recorded in the stone tablet was the first move, heaven-splitting break. This move was like Pangu's heaven-splitting break, a move that could shatter heaven, earth, mystic, and yellow. It was as famous as the #1 body cultivation method, the Pangu's true martial art. In fact, the Pangu's strike was a move, but the Pangu's true martial art was the true body cultivation method. Only by cultivating both at the same time could one achieve Pangu's true martial art. Body, invincible heaven and earth. So powerful. Lin Ling continued to comprehend, and his heart became increasingly excited. Now, he hadn't obtained the Pangu's true martial art, and he had only obtained the first move of the Pangu's strike. But he had a feeling that this would be his strongest physical attack, and it might even be his strongest attack for a long time. Ha! As Lin Ling continued to comprehend, a blurry figure appeared in his mind. This person struck out with a palm, landing in heaven, earth, mystic, and yellow, directly splitting open the world of primordial chaos. It was a very simple move, but it contained a profound great Tao. Even if one could see it clearly, it was very difficult to learn. Moreover, this was the second step. The prerequisite for the first step was that one had to have the physical strength of 1,000,000 worlds. But Lin Ling had clearly met this requirement. With my comprehension of the great Tao and powerful soul force, I still can't figure it out. Lin Ling stood up, and then sank into the ground. After passing through the pangolin's nest, Lin Ling had already appeared 10,000 miles underground. Then, he continued to use that move, and his palm continued to strike down. That's not right. I clearly remember it being like this. Why does it feel different after I use it? Again. This time, I feel a trace of charm. Not good. The feeling I felt before has disappeared again. It was a simple move, but it consumed Lin Ling's blood, sweat, and tears. He maintained the same posture, and constantly practiced and explored. The 1000th move. The 1000th move. The 1000th move. The 1000th move. 10 million. Chapter 4404. It was as if Lin Ling was possessed. Time passed by quietly. Under the constant cultivation and comprehension, his soul force was also quietly increasing as if it was being nourished by the great Tao. And on his body, a divine might that could split heaven and earth was quietly sprouting like a seed. Rumble. After an unknown amount of time, when Lin Ling once again maintained the posture of slashing out with his palm, the ground suddenly continued to shake. Under that palm, the endless divine earth under Lin Ling's feet seemed to be squeezed by a powerful force. Then, after a wave of impact, it began to turn into powder. Success! Lin Ling's body trembled as he stared at his palm in disbelief. When he activated that palm, he felt as if he had turned into Pangu, splitting heaven and earth, creating his own great Tao. And this palm also made Lin Ling realize that the power it contained was double of his physical strength. Now, Lin Ling's basic physical strength was 1 million worlds. If it was doubled, it would be 2 million worlds. And this was the premise of not using the third stage talent fusion. If it was the third stage, the previous palm would have reached 4 million worlds. How terrifying, what a powerful technique. Lin Ling was shocked. Although it was only a one-fold increase in physical strength, one should know that Lin Ling only had the physical strength of 1 million worlds. What if it increased in the future? It would reach 2 million, 3 million, or even 5 million. At that time, Lin Ling's attack would reach 10 million. World power. What kind of concept was this? Destroying 10 million worlds with a wave of his hand. This power was terrifying. It was probably comparable to the power of 100,000 gods. Therefore, Lin Ling was clear that Pangu's first attack, split the heavens, was indeed worthy of having the power to split heaven and earth. Lin Ling maintained this posture as he constantly recalled the feeling from before. Then, it was deeply engraved in his soul. Rumble. After a long time, when Lin Ling's soul was deeply branded with that feeling, the earth shook once more. But this time, the shaking came from the top of his head. Almost at the same time, Lin Ling opened his eyes, and a wild aura emanated from the depths of his eyes. This wild aura was the most primitive and ancient aura of Pangu. He smiled faintly and said, "You're really slow. You only came to me now?" His soul force could clearly sense that around the valley, an army of 500,000 had arrived. All kinds of divine chariots and divine cannons were ready, and they were glaring at the enemy like a tiger watching its prey. Lin Ling sneered and stepped forward. Rumble. At this moment, outside the valley, the army had gathered. The Qilin, Green Dragon, and White Tiger divine cannons were firing continuously into the sky, illuminating the entire area. Whoosh! Whoosh! Looking to the left, tens of thousands of arrows filled the sky. It was extraordinarily beautiful. Those arrows formed a huge bow in the sky. It was majestic. Ha! On the right, tens of thousands of soldiers raised their spears. Their spears were like a gale that shook the heavens and the earth. In the middle was an endless shield that was as impregnable as a fortress. This army of 500,000 was clearly stronger than the steel torrent that chased after Lin Ling. They were true elites. Although their strength was also at the early lower god level, they had fought together for many years and could advance and retreat together. They had already formed a sense of kinship. Moreover, their formations were more than twice as powerful as before. TSK, so this is the immortal spirit hegemony nation? How arrogant, showing off their strength the moment they arrived. In the valley, treasure god Nanwu Fengyu and the others calmly looked at the army of 500,000 in the distance. They were not worried at all because before Lin Ling went into seclusion, he had told them that the immortal spirit hegemony nation could come at any time. In addition, Lin Ling had set up a barrier here, so they were naturally not worried. They were nervous. TSK, I heard from Lord Lei Gong that this immortal spirit hegemony nation came from the other side of the Kai Yuan River, the same place as the Dragon Valley. But now, it seems that this immortal spirit hegemony nation has countless experts. Young Beast Lord couldn't help but praise. Although they are called gods, even if they were placed in the divine world back then, they would probably be cannon fodder existences. Such gods, other than relying on numbers, aren't much of a threat. Emperor God Zhang Gang said with a smile. He had returned from the era of gods back then, so he naturally knew the strength of the divine world back then. To be honest, the potential of our 9 continents void is greater because there are more warriors there. It's just that our foundation is not as strong as that bastard nation. However, if that bastard nation wants to devour our Lei Gong Hall, it's not that I'm looking down on them, but they are dreaming. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu laughed again. While they were talking, the army of 500,000 in the distance was still surging. Moreover, there was a divine chariot pulled by 50 divine dragons in front of the army. There was only one person on the chariot, a youth wearing a white robe and a feathered crown. That's the 9 continents void's Lei Gong Hall, one of the 4 great gods of the 9 continents void. How disappointing. Ever since Lei Gong fell, the Hall of Lei Gong has fallen into decline. Now, it can only hide in this small valley. The youth said with pity. Of course, there was also a hint of disdain in his words. Immortal Master, although the Hall of Lei Gong has fallen, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. That new Lei Gong is still quite amazing. He killed one of our divine marshals and killed our 500,000 soldiers. This grudge must be avenged. In front of the chariot, 6 divine marshals stood there. One of them, an old man with white eyebrows, angrily said. That's because you guys are trash. I heard that the army died in the Mad Bull Formation. This Mad Bull Formation was something that Lei Gong brought upon himself. In the end, you guys blocked the calamity for him. Sigh, it seems that sometimes, being strong doesn't mean that you can lead an army. In my opinion, you guys have cultivated too much that your brains have gone stupid. Hearing this, the other divine marshals immediately mocked. Don't go too far. Being hit while they were down, the 3 divine marshals with white eyebrows' faces instantly turned ugly. Alright. What's the point of quarreling with one another? However, at this moment, the youth in white waved his hand and said calmly, although we sacrificed 500,000 soldiers, the Hall of Lei Gong will compensate us. Moreover, I also believe in the saying that a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Therefore, although the Hall of Lei Gong has fallen, it still has many experts. Let's use them to make up for our lost army. Immortal Master is wise. This is a brilliant move. Wonderful. Hearing this, the divine marshals immediately flattered him. The youth in white laughed and said, everything has its pros and cons. You guys should learn to be open-minded. This is the true Void Tao. Chapter 4405. It doesn't matter. He won't be able to escape from my grasp. Men, go and challenge Lei Gong. Tell him that I, the great sorcerer Lingbao, want to see him. I'll give him 3 incense sticks worth of time to consider. If he doesn't come out by then, don't blame me for flattening this place. The young man in white waved his hand nonchalantly. Although his last sentence seemed calm, it carried an unparalleled domineering aura. I'll challenge him. Hearing this, the divine commanders immediately rushed to volunteer. Then, a burly man snatched the lead. He laughed and said, Lei Gong sacrificed 500,000 soldiers. Just watch us. We won't need a single soldier to make His Majesty Lei Gong surrender. After saying that, he floated forward and shouted, Lei Gong, come out and see me immediately. I'll give you 3 incense sticks worth of time. If the time is up, don't blame us, the immortal spirit hegemony nation, for eradicating this place. In his opinion, the valley must be in chaos and panic now that their 500,000 soldiers were showing off their might outside the valley. Perhaps, many people in His Majesty Lei Gong's majesty were planning to surrender. Screw you. However, just as he finished speaking, the voice of an old man came from the valley. His voice was very domineering and full of disdain. What? Hearing that, the divine commander's face turned as ugly as a pig's liver. His Majesty Lei Gong's majesty was still stubbornly resisting when the army was approaching. How bold of him. Fire the cannons and show them who's boss. Behind him, the young man in white smiled faintly. He believed that His Majesty Lei Gong did not know how powerful they were. Boom! 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 Tens of thousands of cannons roared. That kind of power could probably kill any mid-stage low god expert. The echoes of the explosions also reverberated throughout the land. Nice fireworks. Do you have more? But at this moment, a clear voice finally sounded. Lin Ling had finally appeared above the valley. However, Lin Ling's appearance surprised the immortal spirit hegemony nation. This was because Lin Ling did not panic at all. Instead, he had a mocking smile on his face. He's Lei Gong. Seeing Lin Ling appear, the white-browed old man and the other two divine commanders' eyes turned red. Are there more fireworks? At this moment, Lin Ling's voice drifted over again. It was incomparably insolent and arrogant. That's Lei Gong from the Great Hall of Lei Gong. He's really beyond my imagination. The white-robed young man narrowed his eyes. Clearly, he hadn't expected that his display of the might of a 500,000-strong army would be viewed as a spectacular display of fireworks by the other party. To the immortal spirit nation, this was a humiliation. Lei Gong, I'll give you a chance. After all, my patience is limited. Soon after, the white-clothed young man issued a final ultimatum. Opportunity my ass. Are you an idiot? If you want to fight, then fight. Are you trying to show off the strength of your country by setting off fireworks outside the valley? However, I'll also give you a chance. Set off a few more fireworks. If you can make our Great Hall of Lei Gong happy, we'll spare your country's life. Lin Ling said with a hearty laugh. That's right. It's best if you send your beauties to dance and liven up the mood. In the valley, everyone's laughter drifted out as well. This infuriated the great Taoist master Numinous Treasure. How could this be the attitude of someone who was about to be captured? There was no limit to how arrogant he could be. How arrogant! Great Taoist master Numinous Treasure, allow me to lead my army to kill them. The 7 divine commanders were also furious. This Lei Gong kept calling them girls. He was looking down on them. Calm down. In a battle between two armies, the worst thing to do is to lose your rationality due to anger. Now that the time has not come, let's give them a little more time. Perhaps they're just bluffing. Even though the great Taoist master Numinous Treasure was about to explode from anger, he still maintained his calm. Bluff your ass. Bluff your whole family. Your whole family are monks. If you want to fight, then come. What nonsense are you spouting? However, at this moment, Lin Ling's infuriating voice drifted over again. Again your sister. Damn it. The 500,000 soldiers could not hold it in any longer. This Lei Gong had killed half of their people. Now, not only was he not guilty or afraid, he was still as arrogant as ever. This made the immortal spirit nation lose all face. Lei Gong. The great Taoist master Numinous Treasure could not hold it in any longer. He shouted coldly, I don't know if you're really arrogant or just playing a trick. But let me tell you, as long as I wave my flag, your valley will be flattened by the cavalry. Oh, you're talking big. Then try waving your flag. If you don't, you're my son. Lin Ling laughed and said disdainfully, let me tell you, I dared to kill your 500,000 soldiers because I thought you were nothing. Now that you dare to challenge me, Lei Gong, I'll annihilate your entire army. Immortal Master, please let us destroy them. Hearing this, the divine commanders could not hold it in any longer. Ha ha ha, you old, young, women, and children. What a joke. What a joke. But that's fine. Let me see how you're going to destroy my army of 500,000. Everyone, listen to my orders. Use the formation to kill the enemy. Use the Luo Ding pushing heaven formation to eradicate the entire Thunder God Palace. Seeing that the time was up, the white-robed youth finally waved his flag. No matter what tricks Lei Gong's great hall was playing, the valley was only so big. He did not believe that Lei Gong's great hall could fly away. Kill! War drums were beaten and flags fluttered in the wind. Countless divine cannons were fired and bombarded the valley. Then, the mighty army lined up and charged forward. 500,000 soldiers and 500,000 deities were all crushing a small valley at the same time. Even if this valley was made of steel, it could not stop them. This time, you're still not dead. The white-browed old man became excited at this moment. Poor Lei Gong's great hall. After today, I'm afraid his name will be erased from the 9 states void. Hee, the 4 great gods, your reputation is undeserved. The other divine commanders said contemptuously. They're here. Looking at the valley again, everyone was looking forward to it. This was because they had been so arrogant before, not because they were bored arguing with the immortal spirit supremacy nation, but because they wanted to provoke them and make them enter the minor Kunlun divine array. Boom! 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 Countless divine cannons were fired. However, when they were about to reach the valley, they suddenly disappeared. It was as if they had passed through a spatial tunnel and been reversed to another place. Boom! 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 In the distant sky, divine cannons fell like meteors and bombarded the ground. This was the power of the minor Kunlun divine array. It could make anything that entered the array reverse time and space and bring them to an unknown place. Kill! After looking at the divine cannons again, the 500,000 soldiers flooded forward. However, a moment ago, they were boiling with killing intent, but the next moment, they quieted down. It was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop on the ground. This caused the great Taoist master Numinous Treasure and the others in the distance to frown. They felt that something was wrong. This was because the 500,000 soldiers suddenly became silent. This was too strange. Even if one of them farted, they would be able to hear it. Chapter 4406. Great Wizard Numinous Treasure, something's not right. A divine general frowned, causing the great wizard Numinous Treasure to look into the distance solemnly. All he could see was the constant rumbling around the valley. When the sound and light disappeared, the valley was still a valley. Even the flowers and grass remained the same. The only thing that changed was their 500,000 strong army. Not a single one of them was left. How is this possible? The great wizard Numinous Treasure roared. In the blink of an eye, their 500,000 strong army was wiped out. This was too unreal. One had to know that those were gods with the ability to reverse the situation. They were not ordinary mortal soldiers. Oh my God, not a single hair of our army was left behind. Besides, there wasn't a huge battle. But there wasn't even a corpse. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Otherwise, how could such a terrifying thing happen? 6666. The divine generals were scared out of their wits. Although they had seen a lot, this was the first time they had seen something so strange. As for the white-browed elder and the other 3 divine generals, they were so scared that snot was running down their noses. As they had pursued Lin Ling before, they knew how difficult it was to deal with Lin Ling. He could turn the impossible into the possible. Therefore, they were not surprised by the impossibility before them. But they were surprised that even the great wizard Numinous Treasure had taken action personally. Even so, the 500,000 strong army could not escape the fate of being slaughtered. This Lei Gong was so scary. Where am I? Wow, how did I fall into the demon's lair? At this moment, in a faraway cave, over 100 divine soldiers fell from the sky, and around them were numerous ice-cold demons. There were even a few cave masters drinking wine, but at this moment, they were also looking at them with murderous intent. This was because the cave masters had just reunited and were celebrating. In the end, They had only drunk half of the wine when these divine soldiers wearing armor and brimming with killing intent suddenly fell from the sky. Were they courting death? Oh my God, we fell into the cave master's territory. What happened? Weren't we in the small valley? The divine soldiers who fell were scared out of their wits. Their hair stood on end. Kill them and give them wine. But what greeted them was the murderous intent of the cave masters. The same thing happened on the other side. Some people fell into the demon's nest, some fell into the mystic realm, and some lost their way. My lord, where are you? Aren't we in a small valley? Heavens, where the hell is this god-forsaken place? Hundreds of divine soldiers advanced along the desert. Their faces were ugly, and they were about to cry. 500,000 soldiers were teleported away by the array, disappearing from one place to another. Some of them even lost the chance to return forever. Looking at the valley again, the remaining people were all silent. A strange atmosphere quietly spread around them. It's over. The million-strong army has been completely wiped out. How am I supposed to report back? The numinous treasure great Taoist master's body suddenly trembled as his face turned pale. Like I said, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. This is what we get for underestimating Lei Gong. The white-browed old man said with a bitter smile. Is this the time to gloat? A divine marshal scolded angrily. All right, stop arguing. At that moment, the numinous treasure great Taoist master finally reacted. Then, he stared at the small valley and frowned. It's a boundary array. It must be a boundary array. Furthermore, this boundary array is very powerful. It can even fool me. At that moment, he finally sensed something. He looked up at the blue-robed youth above the valley, and his eyes were filled with solemnity and disbelief. Lei Gong, you knew we were coming, so you used such a method to welcome us. The numinous treasure great Taoist master said through gritted teeth. His deep voice indicated how angry he was. You aren't too stupid. Above the valley, Lin Ling smiled and nodded. You have guts. The numinous treasure great Taoist master nodded heavily as well. Then, he said coldly, you made my 500,000 soldiers disappear without a trace with the help of an array. You are very powerful, but I don't believe this array can protect you forever. If you have the ability, don't come out for the rest of your lives. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy. That's right, Lei Gong. If you have the ability, don't come out for the rest of your life. When the other divine commanders heard that, they also spoke angrily. They would not go to the valley. They would wait outside the valley and see who could outlast the other. If you don't come in, do you not allow us to go out? Great Hall Lei Gong, listen to my orders and follow me to kill the enemy. However, Lin Ling also shouted angrily. Then, under the shocked gaze of the numinous treasure great Taoist master, Lin Ling led the experts from the Great Hall Lei Gong and charged over in a mighty manner. You are courting death. Although this choice surprised the numinous treasure great Taoist master, they were all mid-stage lower deity experts. How could Lei Gong, an early-stage lower deity, kill them all? This was simply a fool's dream. I'll fight you. The white-browed elder hated Lin Ling the most. He held the creation divine stone in his hand and was the first to pounce on Lin Ling. White-browed, you are so despicable. How dare you take the first credit? Seeing that, the other divine commanders were unhappy. In their opinion, killing Lei Gong was a great merit and should be shared equally. However, Lin Ling's expression did not change in the face of the white-browed elder who was charging at him. The third stage of the innate talent fusion appeared, and the palm hanging by his leg quietly condensed a wisp of energy that only existed in the primordial chaos. Just nice, I'll use you to test my Pangu strike. Sensing that his strength had reached its peak, Lin Ling's mind also flashed with the image of the ancient figure violently striking out with his palm. At this moment, Lin Ling actually felt a sense of heroism that could split the heavens and earth apart and create his own heaven, earth, mystic, and yellow. Sky-splitting slash. Lin Ling raised his palm and the energy of 4 million worlds pulsated. Then, he looked at the white-browed elder who was charging at him and struck out. This strike was like a knife, a sword, and an axe, but it carried with it a domineering aura of the Great Tao. This was the aura of the Great Tao. What? At this moment, the strongest person present, Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu's eyes trembled. From Lin Ling's strike, he sensed the most ancient will of the Great Tao. Looking at the white-browed elder, his face was originally filled with killing intent, but when he saw Lin Ling's strike, his eyes suddenly trembled. Because that strike gave him a feeling of the Great Tao of the Void. It made his heaven and earth disappear. The only thing left was that strike. Moreover, that strike did not seem to be fast. He even had 100 ways to dodge and counter it. However, when he really wanted to dodge, he found that he could not. It was as if his speed and techniques were all suppressed. The only thing he could do was to watch the strike arrive with his own eyes. What move is this? In the end, he could only see a burly and naked giant appear in his world. His hand was like an axe that split the primordial chaos apart. Chapter 4407. This sudden turn of events caused the Grandmasters of Numinous Treasure to open their mouths wide. That was a mid-stage lower deity, killed in one move? Killed in one move? It should be known that even a mid-stage lower deity would find it difficult to kill his opponent in one move. What kind of move was that? How could he kill his opponent in one move? The Grandmaster of Numinous Treasure's eyes continued to flicker. For the first time, he felt that Lei Gong was much more powerful than he had imagined. Bastard country? At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. Then, a pitch-black chain wrapped around a divine marshal like a galaxy and tied him up in an instant. The divine marshal was beaten until he could not fight back. So powerful. Who is this? The scholarly divine marshal's eyes trembled violently when he saw this. The person who attacked was not Lin Ling, but a strange man with a stone tablet on his back. However, the chain in his hand was very powerful. It carried a power that was not comparable to divine energy. It seemed to be a divine staircase. Why are there so many experts in the Grand Hall of Lei Gong? Isn't there only one expert called Young Qilin? The scholarly divine marshal felt that something was wrong because the Grand Hall of Lei Gong seemed to be more powerful than he had imagined. Young Qilin? Are you talking about me? Suddenly, a lion covered in green fur appeared beside the scholarly divine marshal. He tilted his head and looked at the divine marshal indifferently. Once again, the divine marshal was shocked. Young Qilin was the strongest warrior in the Grand Hall of Lei Gong. They had originally planned to suppress him with several divine marshals, but now it seemed that it was impossible. Why is the Grand Hall of Lei Gong so powerful? The Grand Master of Numinous Treasure's face was also very ugly. However, at this moment, endless wind and rain surged and formed a great world, sealing the Grand Master of Numinous Treasure within. This power was very strong. The divine energy was endless and had reached a terrifying limit. Even the aftershock of the wind and rain heavily injured a divine marshal. From this, one could see how terrifying this person's strength was. This is bad. I'm afraid this person is even stronger than Lei Gong. The Grand Master of Numinous Treasure was shocked again. Not far away, an old man was calmly looking at him with his hands behind his back. Moreover, other than the experts from before, there was also a yiksha with a stone tablet in his hand. He was also very powerful. Moreover, the few women behind him were not weak either. Although they had not reached mid-stage lower deity strength, they were still considered among early-stage lower deities. The Grand Hall of Lei Gong's great numinous treasure, the Grand Master of Numinous Treasure was, the great of Numinous Treasure could not. The great Taoist Master Numinous Treasure could not retaliate at all. He was sealed by the wind and rain, and it was as though an ancient power had surged into his body, causing him to vomit blood and retreat. Bastard country, How dare you come to the Thunder God Palace to cause trouble? 4. Calm be, the of the void. The old man in the distance laughed disdainfully. He was treasure god Nanwufengyu, the strongest expert in the Thunder God Palace. He wasn't much weaker than Yushin and the others. I surrender. I surrender on behalf of the immortal numinous treasure. Seeing that the situation was hopeless, the Grand Master of Numinous Treasure could only say bitterly. If they continued to fight, they would be completely annihilated. Surrender? Sure. Hand over 100 divine springs and I will let you leave. Lin Ling said calmly from afar. 100 divine springs? You're not going to rob them? Hearing Lin Ling's outrageous demand, the surviving divine marshals were enraged. Everyone was well aware of what a divine spring represented. 100 divine springs was not a small sum. It was enough to greatly enhance the strength of a low-level god and nurture many deity realm experts. That's right. I am robbing them now. Lin Ling nodded and said calmly. All right, we'll give them to you. The Grand Master of Numinous Treasure finally compromised. Compared to the divine springs, his life was more important. The 100 divine springs are here. Take a look for yourself. After that, the great Taoist Master Numinous Treasure handed over the 100 divine springs. After Lin Ling checked it, he accepted it with a smile and said calmly, in the end, Bastard Country and the Void of the 9 States are together. In order to show the respect of the Void of the 9 States, let's forget about this matter. Let's hope we can remain friendly. Friendly my ass. Hearing this, the surviving divine marshals cursed inwardly. The immortal numinous treasure had prepared 1,000,000 steel torrents and countless experts for this trip to the Ji, or Ox Cave. But in the end, they were swallowed by the Lei Gong Hall. Now, there were less than 10,000 people left. Not only that, the Lei Gong Hall extorted a huge sum from them. Damn it. Let's go. The Grand Master of Numinous Treasure roared and hurriedly left with the rest of his people. He had thought that he would succeed this time, but in the end, he accompanied his wife and lost his troops. Take care, I won't see you off. Lin Ling waved his hand. When the immortal numinous treasure god and the others completely disappeared, Nanwufengyu and the others laughed heartily. They were very happy because they thought that the bastard nation had come in a domineering manner, played drums and set off firecrackers, and then ran away with their tails between their legs. They felt that it was very funny. 100 divine springs. Let's divide them equally. Lin Ling nodded with satisfaction and led everyone back to the valley. Lin Ling kept 20 of the divine springs for himself and the rest were divided equally among the others. In the following days, everyone cultivated in the valley and plundered the surrounding area for treasures. They had a great harvest. Lin Ling was also in the midst of stabilizing his realm. He was very satisfied with the result of the Pangus strike that he had used not too long ago because it could instantly kill a mid-stage low god with a single strike. It was truly too powerful. If he used it together with the Step of Wisdom, perhaps he could even put up a fight against a late-stage low god. During this period of time, my strength has increased by leaps and bounds. It's time to look for the remaining treasures in the scabbard. On this day, Lin Ling finally decided to set off and go deeper into the Ji Air Ox Cave. Then, he stated his request to see who would go with him. Nanwufengyu, Emperor God Zhang Gang, and the others all nodded. Yu, Sister Tsuehua, and the others also proposed to go with him. Lin Ling thought for a long time and finally left the young Qilin behind. His big brother, young Master Yao, and the others would stay here and take the lead. Along the way, only Saint Guy, who was relatively strong in Lei Gong's main hall, went with him. After they were ready, they immediately set off. Lin Ling had traveled farther than them, so he knew that the only way to enter the depths of the Ji Air Ox Cave was through the underground cave. 72 cave masters? Are they very powerful? After Lin Ling explained the general situation of the cave, everyone was very curious. Chapter 4408. Swoosh. 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 None of them were weak, so they passed through the cave very quickly. However, they did encounter some demons along the way. These demons were only average in strength. Even without Lin Ling's help, Yu Yu and the rest could deal with them. This also made Lin Ling realize that Yu Yu and Yuer's strength had greatly increased. However, the underground cave extended in all directions. Along the way, Lin Ling and the rest did not seem to have passed through the cave. There's a battle over there. On this day, Lin Ling sensed a completely different battle aura. This aura not only had the aura of demons, but also the aura of many humans. This way. Now that Lin Ling also wanted to get out of this cave, he wanted to find someone to lead the way. It seems to be the aura of De Wang and the rest. Following Lin Ling, Sister Tsuehua and the rest suddenly exclaimed. Who's De Wang? Lin Ling immediately frowned. Lin Ling, don't you remember? When you were cultivating at Grandpa Kurishin's place, he was in charge of cutting firewood. Sister Tsuehua immediately said. After Tsuehua mentioned it, Lin Ling had some recollection of it. Quick, I'm afraid they're in danger. After that, Lin Ling did not waste any more time. He sped up and ran wildly along the cave. At this moment, in the depths of the cave, a large number of demons were besieging a few people. These people were not weak, but there were too many demons around them. In addition, they had been fighting for a long time, so as time passed, they gradually fell into a disadvantage. Hee, you must be from the Kurishin. When the demons surrounded the few people, a fat toad man swaggered out of another cave. Cave Master Blood Toad. Seeing the toad man with white liquid all over his body, the surrounding demons laughed. These demons were also very ugly. Some of them were centipede people, spider people, and so on. They were all poisonous. I want 2 of them. After the fat toad man walked in, he immediately laughed and said, saliva flowing out of his huge mouth. Old toad, aren't you being too greedy? There's a total of 7 people and you've already taken 2 of them. Do you think we don't exist? However, there were quite a number of cave masters present, so one of them immediately objected. Peacock Cave Master, out of the 7 people, I only want 2. The other 5 are yours. Am I being greedy? The toad man was immediately unhappy. You should know that we have been besieging them for a long time. Although these people are not strong, they are all fighting with their lives on the line. Because of this, many of our people have died. Bullshit, I've lost a lot of my underlings too. I don't care, I just want 2 of them. I want to use them to refine Yaodong. A few of the cave masters fought until their faces were flushed red, and their little brothers were also cursing at each other. This allowed the few people who were surrounded in the center to take a short breather, but it was only a short rest. They knew that although these cave masters were fighting, they were also constantly eyeing them like tigers eyeing their prey. As long as there was even a little bit of it, if they acted rashly, these cave masters would fight against them together. It's over. The Kurishin wants us to go pick up Sister Tsuehua and the others, but we're blocked here. What should we do next? We can't even protect ourselves, how are we going to pick them up? These few people were talking in low voices, but their expressions were getting worse and worse. There's no need to fight. These 7 people, give them to our Lei Gong Palace. However, at this moment, a cold laugh came from within the cave. Then, a man walked in with large strides. His aura was magnificent, and with a raise of his hand, those Yaodong were punched to death. Blood spurted out and splattered all over the ground. From afar, this person could be called an invincible war god. Who is it? This sudden change made the few cave masters frown. Suddenly, one of the cave masters looked at the person in disbelief. It's you. This cave master was naturally the Peacock Cave Master. Seeing Lin Ling again, the Peacock Cave Master's eyes turned red. This was because Lin Ling had snatched his feather plume a long time ago, and then disappeared without a trace. he couldn't find him even after searching the entire cave. He didn't expect that Lin Ling would dare to appear in front of him again. I was wondering who it was. So it's you, the flat feather chicken. After entering, Lin Ling looked at the peacock cave master and smiled faintly. Old Kong, who is this person? At the side, a cave master who looked like a two-headed turtle shrunk his head and asked. An enemy. The peacock cave master said coldly. However, just as he finished speaking, the toad cave master beside him let out a croak and pounced at Lin Ling. This person is not weak. Hee, I want to use him to refine the Audon. When the toad cave master pounced, the surrounding space exploded, and a terrifying Yaodon exploded. The divine energy was very powerful. The 72 cave masters were formed after tens of millions of years, so each of them was very powerful and dominated a region. Boom! However, in the face of the toad cave master's attack, Lin Ling smiled and threw out a punch. Now that his strength had increased greatly, he could kill these cave masters by relying on the second stage of the fusion talent. Crash! Lin Ling's punch was like a siege car. It directly smashed the toad cave master's head and penetrated his stomach. Croak! A powerful cave master had died here, causing the entire cave to become silent. The peacock cave master's face was filled with disbelief, because although Lin Ling was strong, he was not this ferocious the last time they met. It's Lei Gong. As for the 7 people who were surrounded, they recognized Lin Ling and shouted excitedly. It seems that I have underestimated you. This time, I must use my true strength. The peacock cave master did not dare to underestimate Lin Ling. A 7-colored light flashed behind him, and his feathers bloomed like a peacock spreading its tail. It was very beautiful. Stage 3. Facing a mid-stage lower god like the peacock cave master, Lin Ling did not dare to underestimate him. He increased his strength again, and the crimson sword appeared. It formed a terrifying sea of blood and slashed out. This time, even if you use your full strength, you are still no match for me. The roiling sea of blood was mixed with the terrifying steps of slaughter. In addition to Lin Ling's divine energy, and physical strength, it flooded towards the peacock cave master. No, this is impossible. The peacock cave master's pupils trembled violently. When the sea of blood was about to drown him, he felt a terrifying energy surging towards him. It was as though he had seen the nemesis of all demons. At this moment, he was finally sure that Lin Ling's strength had increased greatly. Even if he used his full strength, he was still no match for Lin Ling. One should know that when Lin Ling broke one of his feathers, he did not use his full strength. Therefore, when he was defeated, he was still thinking that the next time he used his full strength, he would make this young man regret it. But now, he was the one who regretted it. Crash! Without any resistance, the peacock cave master fell. Silence. The previously noisy cave was now dead silent. None of the fiendish demons dared to move. Their bodies were trembling. Damn humans, they killed 2 of our cave masters. Kill them. Chapter 4409. You're so noisy, little monkey. At this moment, Treasure God Nanwufengyu and the others arrived. Treasure God Nanwufengyu appeared above the cave master's head and slammed his palm down. Whoosh! Like a watermelon being split open, another seemingly invincible cave master fell here. After his head exploded, a foul stench of blood permeated the air. Speaking of which, how long has it been since you guys last bathed? So smelly. Treasure God Nanwufengyu jumped up and dodged the splash of blood energy. Spare me, spare me. Several cave masters were dead, and the remaining lesser demons all knelt down. They were completely terrified. In their minds, cave masters were invincible existences. However, the people who appeared today were each more powerful than the last. They killed their cave masters so easily. This made them realize just how powerful these people were. They were so powerful. Kill them all. However, Lin Ling did not give any face to these man-eating demons. He waved his hand and walked towards the strange man. Lin Ling. Lord Lei Gong. The 7 of them were from the Kurishin side, so they recognized Lin Ling and smiled excitedly. Brother Dewang. Sister Cui Hua, Xiao Nan, and the rest also rushed in. They then looked at the 7 people and laughed. Sister Cui Hua. The 7 of them were relieved when they saw Sister Cui Hua and the others. We were just about to look for you, and you came. That's great, as long as you guys are fine. The honest man called Brother Dewang smiled and said, Grandpa Kurishin was worried about your safety, so he asked us to come and get you. What happened to Grandpa Kurishin? Sister Tsuehua and the others asked immediately. I don't know, but when we left the Kurishin, it was chaos. There were experts everywhere, including Eugene, Titanic Crescent God, and the Bull Demon from the Bull Demon tribe. There were also some gods who came from nowhere, but they were all very powerful. Are all the top experts there? At this moment, Lin Ling also opened his mouth and said, with so many top experts gathered here, could it be that something attracted them? I heard that there's a divine clock, and it's very powerful. All the gods are fighting for it. Brother Dewang said immediately. Clock. Lin Ling frowned. Although he did not know what clock it was, it must be something extraordinary if all the gods were fighting for it. Bring us there immediately. Lin Ling said immediately. Okay. Dewang and the others nodded. A piece of straw appeared in their hands. The straw seemed to be quite extraordinary. After it landed on the ground, it pointed in a direction. Over here. Afterward, Dewang and the others led Lin Ling and the others forward quickly. Along the way, Dewang said, Grandpa Black God is there alone. I'm afraid that he's in danger. Let's speed up. Okay. Lin Ling nodded. The Kurishin was Lei Gong's good brother. Even if Lei Gong was still alive, he would definitely help the Kurishin. Therefore, Lin Ling was no exception. The caves extended in all directions and were very chaotic. While Dewang and the others were leading the way, they passed by the territories of a few cave masters. Be careful, everyone. When we came here previously, we almost woke up the cave master. It said that it's a huge crab and is very powerful. Even Grandpa Kurishin doesn't dare to provoke it. When they arrived at a cave full of water, Dewang slowed down and carefully walked over step by step. This is too slow. Let's rush over. However, Lin Ling was worried about the Kurishin and was not interested in walking slowly. This won't do. Dewang and the others were frightened when they saw Lin Ling being so impulsive. Don't worry, we have many strong people here. We'll kill anyone who stands in our way. Lin Ling said coldly and looked at Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu and the others. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu immediately smiled and nodded. Even though the Kurishin were wary of the Crab Cave Master, they had more powerful people here than the Kurishin. When Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu nodded, Lin Ling immediately asked Dewang to lead the way. The latter was so frightened that his face turned pale. He looked helplessly at Sister Tsuehua and only dared to lead the way after she agreed. Crazy. But even so, while leading the way, he and the other 6 people were still trembling with fear and muttering to themselves. When they sped up, they undoubtedly alarmed the demons in this area. They saw crab-like demons emerging from the puddles on the ground. Kill! Lin Ling roared and the strong people behind him charged forward, killing all the demons they encountered along the way. Boom! In the end, the most terrifying crab cave lord appeared. It was as huge as a mountain, and its pair of giant pincers seemed to be able to tear apart any realm. Looking at its huge mouth, large amounts of white whiskers were hanging there, proving that it was very old. What little demon dares to disturb my meditation? It let out a low voice that caused a terrifying sound wave storm. I'm Lei Gong. If you dare block my way, I'll kill you. The tyrannical song sword appeared in Lin Ling's hand. Without further ado, he attacked. Old crab, I wonder if you're old, or I'm older. Treasure god Nanwu Fengyu also attacked. Rolling wind and rain flooded over. Following that, the others attacked one after another, joining forces to suppress the Crab Cave Master. This sudden change caught the Crab Cave Master off guard. What shocked him the most was that there was not a single weakling in this group. They were all strong, incomparably strong. Of course, it was fine if this group was strong, but fucking joining forces. Wait. The Crab Cave Master's shell was very hard, blocking the combined attacks of the group. However, while it looked unharmed, it could not hold on for much longer. Wait your ass. Lin Ling attacked in order to save time. There was no way he could wait. He floated up and slashed out with the heaven-splitting slash. Hua la la. The Crab Cave Master, who had endured countless attacks, could not hold on any longer. Its armor completely cracked. Die. The armor had just cracked when treasure god Nanwu Fengyu attacked. Under the suppression of the divine power, the powerful cave master was killed. The entire battle took a very short time. 3 incense sticks were not even enough. This terrifying change scared De Wang and the others. Their faces were pale, and they could not speak for a long time. Too strong. This is Lei Gong's hull. Lin Ling is much stronger than before. If he had not broken his shell, the crab demon would have been able to hold on for a long time. As expected, we worried too much. The 7 whispered, and then led the way again. As for Lin Ling, he collected the treasures left behind by the old crab demon and immediately set off. He did not expect to reap such a bountiful harvest along the way. Apart from the treasures left behind by the old crab demon, the plume left behind by the peacock cave lord was also extremely valuable. Chapter 44:10. We're here. Here. Lin Ling looked at the setting sun. He could feel a strong demonic aura coming towards him. Rumble. Far away in the sky, there were thunderbolts. These thunderbolts were colorful and domineering. When they landed on the ground, they blasted huge craters in the ground. Looking around, the ground in front of them was full of holes. It was a sorry sight. Master Lei Gong, the Kurishin are in the Western Barren territory. At this time, De Wang shouted anxiously. He had followed the Kurishin here before, so he knew a little about this place. From the looks of it, the battle over there has been going on for a long time. Let's go. Lin Ling nodded. He did not need De Wang to lead the way. He had already taken the lead and flew in a certain direction. Amidst the rumbling thunder, he could vaguely hear the sounds of explosions from a great battle. Although Lin Ling could sense the distance, the fact that they could be heard here meant that there was a great battle in the distance. It was intense. Yu Yu and the rest followed behind Lin Ling. Their eyes were focused. They knew that there was going to be a great battle. However, they were also curious about the treasures that the gods were fighting for. With such a fierce battle, the treasures must be extraordinary. Rumble. Not long after he charged forward, a thunderstorm fell from the sky. It was so dense that it was as if it was raining. Looking at the horizon, there were countless lightning snakes shooting down, covering a part of the world. It was a very shocking sight. Everyone, go first. I'll block these thunderbolts. Lin Ling rushed into the sky and activated the Thunderlock real form. The white thunderbolts raged out. With the white thunderbolts attracting them, the colorful thunderbolts falling from the sky were also attracted and kept swallowing and spitting towards Lin Ling. Go! Under the ground, Nanwu Fengyu God immediately led the way and rushed forward. Rumble. Although there were still sporadic thunderbolts falling, they obviously could not affect the group anymore. Lin Ling has turned into a thunderball. Little South and Suihua looked back at the same time. When they saw the dazzling thunderball in the sky, they swallowed hard. This was because they could feel that the thunderbolts here were extraordinary. They actually carried a touch of demonic aura. Without the realm of gods, they could not withstand it. However, Lin Ling not only attracted the thunderbolts, but also attracted the thunderbolts that everyone had to bear. Grandpa God, will he be okay? Yu and the rest were worried when they heard the deafening thunderbolts exploding in the sky. This lightning isn't ordinary lightning. It's divine lightning that was triggered when a powerful expert from the era of the gods forcefully took the Ear Ox cave away. After being trapped in the cave for tens of thousands of years, the divine lightning has been demonized. That's why it's so extraordinary. Nanwu Fenyu God. Grandpa God, don't scare us. Yu and the rest were even more worried when they heard this. But you are underestimating Lin Ling too much. Not only does he have a great talent in the Thunderbolt attribute, his body is also extremely tough. That little bit of demonic thunderbolts can't hurt him. Don't worry. Nanwu Fenyu God laughed loudly. His words made Yu and the rest sigh in relief. However, when they looked back, they were still quite frightened. This was because under the setting sun in the distance, a thunderball that was 10,000 miles wide was suspended in the sky. Bolts of lightning were wreaking havoc in all directions from the thunderball. It was a spectacular sight. As for Lin Ling, they could no longer see him. Everyone, let's speed up. At this time, the giant ghost also said. After a long time, everyone finally rushed out of the thunderstorm area. When they looked back, they saw that the thunderball under the setting sun in the distance was now twice as large as before. Whoosh! Next, the thunderball was forcefully torn apart by a pair of white thunderous arms. A figure with 10 white wings streaked across the sky and dazzlingly shot towards Nanwu Fenyu's group. Lin Ling is out, let's go. Nanwu Fenyu and the rest smiled when they saw this. They knew that Lin Ling was fine. Then, they saw Lin Ling quickly fly over their heads. They quickened their pace and chased after Lin Ling. What a powerful thunderbolt. At this moment, in the sky, Lin Ling's body was full of colorful lightning snakes. His hands were behind his back, and there were 2 palm-sized thunderballs in his palms. These 2 thunderballs were incomparably powerful and suppressed the countless demonic thunderbolts from before. However, Lin Ling couldn't refine them and didn't have the time to do so. He just held them like this and wanted to find a place to release them. As for the damage that the demonic thunderbolts brought to Lin Ling, it didn't affect Lin Ling. Because Lin Ling's body was strong and he had a lightning talent, it only made Lin Ling feel a slight numbness. Almost there. As he stared ahead, Lin Ling could already roughly see the earth-shattering battle ahead of him. Gods. All of them were god-level experts. Moreover, they all came from different places. There were people from the 4 great deities, people who were the true inheritors of the Miao deity, immortal spirit countries, and even more spirit countries as well as many unknown deities. These experts were crazily clashing against each other, causing the distant heaven and earth to become chaotic. Looking at the center, there was a sacred mountain standing tall on the ground. The sacred mountain emitted a sacred light, and an ancient bell hung on top of it. That's the source of the fight between the gods. Lin Ling's eyes stared at the god bell, but he couldn't see anything because there was a gentle force on the god bell that blocked everything. Why would the god bell appear here? Could it be a treasure that was moved by the gods during the war? But why didn't the demons of the Ear Ox cave touch the god bell after so many years? Also, the sacred mountain below the god bell gives me a mysterious feeling. Could it be that the god bell is suppressing something? What is it? Countless guesses appeared in Lin Ling's mind. Then, he stared at the battle below the sacred mountain in the distance because the battle there was the most terrifying one. It was a battle between gods. There were Eugene, Titanic Crescent God, and Kurishin, 3 familiar faces. There was also Lord Ning of the Spirit Country and an unknown old man. At the same time, there was also a huge demon ox. They were divided into 3 camps and were fighting fiercely. Their goal seemed to be to fight for the god Bel. Among these gods, the demon ox was the strongest. At times, he even forced the 4 great gods of the Spirit Country to join forces. That must be the chief of the demon ox tribe. Lin Ling guessed in his heart. He was very clearly aware that even the current Lin Ling was unable to participate in the war in that world. At most, he only had half a foot of the qualifications to step into it. Chapter 44:11. The battle in that world was also very intense, as if it represented the strongest battle of the present age. Of course, there were also people who tried to rush into the battlefield, but before they could get close, the shockwaves from the battle tore them apart. This meant that not just anyone could lay a finger on that battlefield. Looks like we're too late. What a shocking battle. Lin Ling licked his lips. For some reason, a surge of emotion rose in his heart. The gathering of the strongest gods of the present age, how could he, Lei Gong, be missing? Of course, the battle in the distance was very far away. There was still a long way to go to reach the sacred mountain. At the same time, treasure god Nanwu Fengyu and the others also arrived. When they saw the sensational battle in the distance, they were all shocked. Lin Ling, let's go. Emperor god Zhang Gang also felt a surge of passion. He wanted Lei Gong's hall to join this great battle. How could Lei Gong's hall not be included in the battle of the gods? All right. Lin Ling nodded heavily. He drew a beautiful trajectory in the sky as he quickly passed through the sky. At this moment, many experts from all over the sacred mountain joined in. They were like dragons crossing the river. However, Lin Ling's aura was the most shocking, and it attracted a lot of attention. Who are those people? What ferocious lightning! Looks like Lei Gong. The thunder god is here as well. Many of the 4 gods recognized Lin Ling and were shocked. However, in the end, they could only look up at Lin Ling and watch as Lin Ling flew over their heads. Of course, there were naturally people who wanted to stop Lin Ling. These people came from other places and didn't know Lin Ling. When they saw a group of suicidal people trying to enter the sacred mountain's ancient lands, they would definitely stop them. However, before they could get close to Lin Ling, the lightning around Lin Ling bloomed and wreaked havoc on them. So strong. Who is this person? The people at the rear no longer dared to obstruct them. They knew that another powerful deity had arrived at the old land of the sacred mountain. Kill. After passing this group of gods, the battle in front of them became more intense. Countless mad bulls were galloping on the ground and in the sky. The gods who were relatively weak were immediately smashed into pieces. However, the deities in this area were obviously much more powerful. They joined forces and blocked the charge of the mad bulls. Roar! However, the flesh and blood of the mad bulls that had been beaten to a pulp began to flow like mud, and they turned into a giant with a bull's head covered in rotten flesh. The giant seemed to have a setting sun on its head. With a roar, endless gales surged out, blowing many experts into dust. His strength had obviously reached the level of a mid-stage low-level deity. Moreover, he was one of the stronger ones. Everyone, be careful. Someone let out a loud roar. However, as soon as his voice faded, a huge palm slapped over and forcefully smashed that person into meat paste. He was deader than dead. This person was one of the 8 new deities of the current generation of the 4 great deities. The 8 new deities of the current generation represented the strongest existences among the deities of the trial takers. They were the ultimate combat power. However, they could not withstand a single blow from this giant. This caused the hundreds of people present to stare at the giant with a bull's head. They could not believe their eyes. Other than the 8 new gods, there were also experts from the Spirit Nation, experts from the immortal Spirit Nation, as well as some unknown experts. However, even though there were many experts present, none of them dared to touch the ferocious ox-headed giant. Mountain. At this moment, an angry roar rang out. A handsome young man floated over. His hands kept dancing, and a large amount of divine energy turned into divine talismans that floated toward the giant with a bull's head. Upon closer inspection, this person's clothes were very strange. His body was covered with divine talismans, and his every movement carried a surge of divine energy. "It's Mitsui!" someone exclaimed. Then, he shouted excitedly. After those divine talismans floated out, they landed on the giant with a bull's head like a swarm of locusts. They turned into pieces of soil and sealed the giant with a bull's head, turning it into an ancient mountain that was even bigger than the divine mountain in the distance. This meant that the giant with a bull's head had been defeated by Mitsui. Did you see that? The 4 great deities are still the most powerful. That is the number 1 among the 8 new deities, God Mitsui. An old man from the Jojo void shouted proudly. Looking at the young man floating in the void, his face was cold and indifferent. However, one could still see a hint of pride in his eyes. After all, it was an honor to be able to defeat the giant with a bull's head in front of so many experts. In time, when this matter spread to the Jojo void, Mitsui would be immortalized. Moreover, his name would be like thunder in the ears of the deity nation, and even the deity nation. Who did not want to be famous? Who did not want to be as famous as the ancient deities? This was probably the dream of every martial artist. How did Mitsui become so powerful? Could it be the inheritance of deities? I heard that he obtained the inheritance of mountains from the inheritance of deities. Among the crowd, a woman frowned and spoke with a hint of jealousy. She was Goddess Luo. Beside her were Sanling and Qingimo. They were also very jealous. Then, they asked Goddess Luo, "Who do you think is more powerful, Mitsui, young Qilin, and Linling?" They were also one of the 8 new deities. Naturally, they did not want to be overtaken by others. As for young Qilin, he was already famous and powerful. Therefore, they were sincerely convinced by him. As for Lin Ling, they had followed Lin Ling and witnessed how powerful Lin Ling was. Therefore, they were convinced by him. However, it was obviously difficult for them to be convinced by Mitsui. He is not as powerful as young Qilin and Lin Ling. He is not even as powerful as Luli Empress. I guess he is ranked 4th among the 8 new deities. Goddess Luo said calmly. Bullshit, I think you are just jealous. However, as soon as she said that, one of Mitsui's admirers shouted angrily, "Young Qilin and Lin Ling are so powerful. Where are they now? This is the most powerful battle of the gods. Even Lord Eugene and the others are here. However, where are Lin Ling and the others? They are not even qualified to participate." That's right. More people from the 4 new deities agreed. To be able to participate in the most powerful battle of the gods was an honor and affirmation for them. If Lei Gong could not participate, it meant that he was not qualified. Words are not proof. I know you won't believe me. However, in the future, you will understand. Goddess Luo did not argue because she felt that it was unnecessary. Moreover, she guessed that if Lin Ling was here, he would not have stayed in this circle for long. He would have approached the sacred mountain because that was the battlefield that belonged to Lin Ling. Crack, crack, crack. At this moment, cracks began to appear on the mountain that was still and motionless. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.